I mean, you can't still have trouble, right?
Well, they visited me. I mean, what is the matter with you guys?
How do you feel about that?
I'm hardly doing anything, you know? I haven't been affiliated. Well, I figured that's what, 17 of them working in federal.
John.
Bring another year. They got something to do about it. I do donuts, so. They looked at my phone and said, oh, we got 5.
Gotta justify.
We'll have to do this differently so there's more space. Yeah.
We have somebody who can pretty big, one or two people. But yeah.
What would you do, just do standing? In line?
Sorry?
You do stand.
That's what I was thinking, but we're not really equipped to accommodate.
But it's recommended.
Yeah, kind of a amount of time where we were getting lots of input.
Good evening. We'll start tonight's meeting. Welcome to Eugene Police Commission. I'm Chair Jensina Hawkins, and we have quite a lot of folks here from the public. Thank you so much for your presence this evening. We look forward to participation with public comment. Today is Thursday, July 10th. And as most of you know, we have some robust policies on our agenda for discussion this evening. We'll start off with reviewing and approving the agenda. Looking at the number of public commenters we have, it appears that we may need to extend our meeting by 20 to 30 minutes. I will wait till closer to the end of the meeting to see if we need to make that motion, but I would like the commissioners to be aware that that may be coming. Good evening, Sean. Public comment. If you are here this evening and if you would like to speak at public comment, please fill out one of those blue half sheets and return it to Vice Chair Folks here at my left. If you are online wanting to speak for public comment, when we get to public comment, we'll have you raise your hand and our staff person will promote you to a panelist so that you can speak, and we will be happy to hear what you have to say. Our previous meeting recap. Oh, by the way, I need a motion to approve our agenda, please.
Oh.
Vice Chair.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second. And to approve our agenda as presented in our meeting packet. All in favor, please say aye.
Right.
And so we have ayes all around. Any nay votes, any abstentions? Thank you. That's a unanimous passage of the agenda. At our previous meeting, when we met in June, we had a very lively discussion regarding EPD's involvement with immigration enforcement activity. We did agree to send a memo to City Council, and that is at the back of your packet. Holly has included that for us. And essentially, it's from the Police Commission asking the City Council to publicly reaffirm their commitment to Resolution 5174, Resolution 5073, Ordinance number 20579, all of which state that Oregon is a sanctuary state, Eugene is a sanctuary city, and that we do not use city resources to engage in, assist, or participate with the local immigration enforcement efforts. That motion passed 6 yeas, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. We began reviewing policy 702, searches and inventories of detained persons. That policy review was tabled until that policy is updated. There were some things in it that were clearly from many prior years ago, so we are waiting to have that updated before we continue the review on that. We also began review of policy 703, storage of prisoner property. That discussion was also tabled for coordination with the Lane County Jail. Prisoner property is stored at the jail, and so we followed their rules. Tonight, as all of us around the table know, is our last meeting with the one, the only, Sean Shivers, former chair, former vice chair, former absolutely everything possible. And John, to present your certificate to you this evening, we have a very special guest. Madam former mayor.
Sean. Thank you. I actually just want to say a few words about this gentleman.
Please do.
So Sean served almost my entire tenure as mayor. He came on board in 2018. I started as mayor in 2017. He's outlasted me by 6 months. And if you're lucky to get to try a new hairstyle,
Yeah.
people will say, "Who are you?"
I don't have much of a choice on that.
There we go. So, but I do really want to say that we went through a lot. I mean, when he was first appointed to the commission, we had a certain format, we had a certain tradition around that tradition, around how this commission functioned. And, but Sean was in the hot seat in the very hot summer of 2020 with all of the tensions and all of the challenges and the decisions that the city had to make about how to be responsive to the frustration, to the anger. How could we create a new path from the frustrations people were feeling to people feeling that the city was responsive and that we were opening the table. And so Sean presided over this process in which we reopened the applications for seats on the commission. We expanded the size of the commission. I don't remember the number. You have maybe 30?
We had 110.
110, okay, I forgot how massive it was. It was a massive undertaking to filter all those applications, to begin to sort of reconstitute what this body looks like and who sits on this body and feeling representative and that different folks be represented. And Sean he was thoughtful, he was deliberative, he was really thorough in his approach to that and considerate. And I think, we're in a better place because of the leadership then and in the continuing years. And, one of the things I will say about my biggest takeaway about being the mayor of the city of Eugene is the incredible wealth we have of talent and commitment in our public. People showing up here tonight to provide testimony. We have people who dedicate 8 years of their lives to serving on a very challenging board. It makes us strong. It makes us a better community. And so thank you for the work you have done. Thank you for the model that you display to the community of community service, public service, and I wish you all the best in the next chapter in your life. Thank you so much on behalf of for Andy Donovan. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck. Right.
Thank
I
you
think
so
I'll
much,
just sneak
Lucy.
out and we can do the hard work.
Yes.
Hard work anymore. I get that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll go into our liaison reports. Our Civilian Review Board liaison is out of the country and will not be joining us this evening, so we don't have an update from Civilian Review Board. However, we have our Human Rights Commission liaison here, John Bradley. Commissioner Bradley, please update us on the Human Rights Commission.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to report that Human Rights Commission, we've had some turnover, of course, because of regular timelines. Both Chair Blake Burrell, and Thomas here have rotated off, and very much appreciate their strong leadership. Also, Jackie Lowe, our Commissioner Jackie Lowe, completed the term. We also have a new chair and a new vice chair. Commissioner Dr. Selkie Booker is the new Human Rights Commission chair, and Commissioner Kiana Kabuko is our vice chair now. We also have 4 new human rights commissioners, so we're excited about some new folks coming on the commission. And on June 22nd, we had our Human Rights Community Awards, and we have, of course, recognized Debbie Williamson, the Trans Alliance of Lane County, and the University of Oregon's Museum of Natural and Cultural History at that ceremony. We are on our summer schedule now, and there'll be some limited work until the September meeting.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bradley.
Thank you.
The City Council, Councilor Ye, would you like to begin?
Sure. So I had COVID.
Oh, no.
So a few weeks, so I missed some stuff. So I would like to say, I know, I spoke briefly with the mayor about the letter that we sent, but then I got very sick for a while. And so I'm not sure where it's at. Maybe Randy knows, maybe he's heard something that I may have missed in the emails, but I did express to her that I thought it was a good idea. I voted for it, obviously. So I don't have anything to bring back about that, but I will try to get, I mean, hopefully something by the time our next meeting, something will have happened and I won't have, it'll just have happened, but I don't have much to share, unfortunately.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Groves.
Okay, well, we've approved the budget during that time, and it includes a $4.7 million addition to stormwater fees. It's a temporary measure for 6 years while we try to figure out how to close the gap, but we were able to restore most of the services that were on the cut list. So that, I think, is a good thing. At the state legislature, Councilor Ye and I both serve on the IGR committee for the city, and with the state legislature, we received $6 million in infrastructure funding to take infrastructure out to the Clear Lake Road development area. And a big thing that's directly related to police work and what we do here is the county received money for the stabilization center, which is going to be a game changer in how we treat mental health issues and critical life-threatening substance addiction. So the plan for that right now is to be built on the Riverbend campus, and it'd be right next to the 134-bed behavioral health hospital that East Health is planning to build. And again, I think both of those, having worked the street myself as a firefighter and a medic, that it will have a profound impact on what we do. Right now, the police have two places they can take someone like that. And that's unfortunately the jail or the hospital, neither of which are usually the right place. Fire has one door to go to, and that's the hospital. This will give an opportunity to help start decluttering our emergency departments and our hospitals and helping to get people the help they need to improve their station in life. In addition, council this past Thursday, yesterday, at the work session, we approved a recruiting firm for the new city manager. We're going to be doing a nationwide search, try and get the absolute best possible person we can in to lead what can sometimes be a very challenging position in an organization. So those are the big pieces right now. I mean, there's lots of little things, but
What is the anticipated timeline for the new city manager?
I haven't seen a hard timeline yet, but I'm hearing somewhere and based on past experiences around bringing in city managers, it's usually the better part of a year until somebody's on board.
Thank you for sharing that update, Councilor Groves.
Right, and I will say the important thing of getting that done before council goes on break is there's a lot of work that can be done while we aren't meeting. So when we hit the ground in early September, we can hit the ground running and start really working on the process.
I believe the recruiting firm said somewhere around 16 weeks for their work, but that person then might need more time before. So
Well, they need their time. We need to deliberate and make a decision. Then we need a background check, and you want a pretty extensive background check on that position. So when you start adding that all together, and if they're working somewhere, they probably need at least a month. It
stretches out.
Yeah, I always looked at how long when I was fire chief, how long it took to get something done, and that multiply it by 2.5, and that was about it.
So do we anticipate a period of having an interim city manager?
I think we're going to have to.
Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to move into commissioner comments, and since we have two new commissioners joining us this evening, I'm going to start with the existing commission. And what I'd like you to share this evening, in addition to any comments that you have, is your name, preferably, the time that you have spent on, the amount of time you've spent on police commission, and your day job. And I'm going to start with Vice Chair Folks.
Good evening, thank you. First of all, thank you, Acting Chief Burke, for being here tonight. Welcoming our new members, so excited to have you both commissioners. Sean, it's been an absolute, Commissioner Shivers, it's been an absolute delight, and I have appreciated you as a mentor. You've been phenomenal, and you are so knowledgeable about politics and Eugene as a whole, so thank you. And a big thank you to everybody that showed up here tonight. It's amazing. I'm new to this, and I have never seen this many people in this room.
Keep turning. Keep turning.
So, thank you.
And your day job.
Oh, what do I do? Okay.
Yes.
I work for the Oregon Department of Human Services, in the hearings unit.
All right. Commissioner Rainey.
I've been on the commission for 1 year. I don't have a day job. I'm retired. I just turned 78, so I can get away with that. I am writing a book. What else are we supposed to say?
Your name?
My name, Jack Rady.
That was just a test to see if you know.
Okay, yeah, and you want my date of birth too? I asked
Nope.
you. Oh,
Thank you very much. Commissioner Bradley.
Hi, my name is John Bradley, and this is my second meeting. So my first year on the police commission, I'm the liaison from the Human Rights Commission. I'm a social worker. I work mostly with veterans.
Counselor Ye.
My name is Jennifer Ye. I'm city councilor for Ward 4, which is Northeast Eugene. My day job, I work for community supported shelters. What else was I supposed to say? I think that's all, but I will say I've already said all my mushy stuff to Sean at our last meeting, but just, glad you showed up tonight. I was a little worried there for a few minutes. And thanks again for everything.
Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Alan Wyman. By way of commissioner comments, I just want to welcome our 2 new commissioners, but it is nice to have a full table and not be looking at the screen as much as we can do that. And my day job, I have a solo law practice where I help people recover wages. And I have been for 15 years the municipal judge in Veneta and sometimes justice of the peace in Lane County occasionally. So, yeah, thank you.
And that expertise is invaluable on the police commission. Sometimes when we have questions about the legality of anything that we're proposing, it's very nice to have your expertise there. Counselor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. I want to start by thanking Sean for everything you've done, and I also appreciate your friendship. It's one heck of a campaign. I will say that. You're going to be missed, and I really think you set the bar for a commissioner on the police commission, and I'm grateful for that. Also, I want to welcome our new commission members to the table, and anything that I can do to help you, I'm happy to do so. And then one thing I wanted to mention that I missed on the first pass was the J.H. Baxter site, which is in my council ward, just received federal Superfund status, which is going to be key to getting the actual site cleaned up. There's going to be a community meeting Thursday the 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Cascade Middle School in Bethel. That is a part of our community that has suffered chronic toxic exposures and has directly impacted people's lives. So cancer rates are higher. Just some really sad stories. DEQ has already come in and been cleaning up the yards, taking out the like 3 feet of soil and replacing it. And the Superfund will help finish the site at Baxter. Right now, they've spent about $11.5 million so far, just removing the product from the tanks and removing what's above ground. Superfund site will help them dig down and find where how deep they need to go to remove the soil and hopefully remove all the toxicity for the future and make it safe for humans and animals again. So anyway, I'm very happy about that. I guess that's all I'll say now. Thank you for being here. Thank you. In the chief's absence, you always do a good job.
Thank you, Counselor. Commissioner Shivers.
Yeah, sorry for being late, everybody. There's no parking outside, so I am parked over there. My name is Sean Shivers. I've been on the police commission for 8 years now. My day job is I work with nonprofits, small to medium nonprofits coming in and helping them with various admin services depending on their needs.
for Association Pro to Go, which is a nationwide thing based in Colorado. My words of advice are for our new commissioners, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for picking up these batons. It took me a year to get my feet under me, so don't feel pressured that everybody's going to expect everything from you immediately. For our entire audience, there's going to be a vacancy on the police commission. Please sign up. Please tell your friends. The only way this works is if people with values and willingness to work continue to do the work year after year. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm glad to see that the work that Lucy lauded at the beginning is being carried forward by Jensina and will be continued to be carried forward.
Thank you, Sean. You have been an incredible mentor as particularly with the untimely passing of former chair Boggs. It was really wonderful for me to be able to lean on your expertise as a former chair and with all of your years of experience on the commission. And you're a really darn good friend. And my kids still have your seat saved for you at my dining room table, where they have told you that you sit and you don't get to sit anywhere else. All right, so for our new commissioners, welcome so much. We are so glad you're here. And now that you know exactly a little bit about how commissioners' comments go, I'm going to start with Commissioner Wilgus.
I'm Katie Wilgus. So glad to be joining all of you. I wear two hats downtown. I am the Downtown Solutions Strategist for the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm the Executive Director for Downtown Eugene, England.
Thank you. What was your reason for applying to join the Police Commission?
I've had the pleasure of working with EPD in my roles downtown, and I understand many of the challenges and opportunities that revolve every day around EPD, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Thank you very much for stepping up. Commissioner Espinosa Blank.
My name is Martha Espinosa Blank, and this is my first time coming through. I am a retired anesthetist. I've been here at the hospital for just about made it 30 years, and I've been retired for a year now. So I have a little extra time on my hands. I have found some really wonderful people to volunteer with, and I just feel like this is a really good time to be civically engaged. And this seemed like a good fit.
Thank you very much. We are so glad you're here. For our new commissioners, I do like to have mentors assigned to new commissioners. And so for Martha, Amelia, the Vice Chair folks will be your mentor. And for Katie, I will be yours. So as we go through the meetings and as we go through the months in between meetings, if you have questions about procedures, if you have any questions about how things go or why they go, please feel free to reach out to us. We will be happy to be your one-on-one contacts. We'll move to approving the minutes from June 12th of 2025. Vice Chair, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, and we have a second for Vice Chair. No longer Vice Chair Shivers. What? That was, oh, that stopped me right in my tracks.
You can just call me.
Dallas never let us call anybody by their first names during the meeting. All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from June 12th? Or actually, was there any discussion of the minutes? Commissioner Rady.
Just briefly. I've been in touch with the Lady Council of Governments who provide our note taker, and I believe the problems that I've been encountering will be dealt with. I would just note that since the main business that commission members do, the work we do is done here at this table. What we say is of some significance, and when it is summarized, leaving out all the content, it kind of leaves us, what are we doing? But I believe that will be dealt with. There was several places in the minutes where comments were summarized by just saying reasons were given, and that doesn't quite make it. But I believe that will be all dealt with.
Okay. And did you send requested edits to colleagues prior to the meeting? Thank you very much. Any further discussion of the minutes? Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes from June twelfth, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed and any abstentions? The minutes-
Abstain since I wasn't.
Thank you, Commissioner Vilgus. And that one passes. So we have an item on to discuss regarding community engagement. The city of Eugene has new guidance that requires volunteers at different events to be supervised by or chaperoned, accompanied by staff from the department, which is related to that particular board or commission. So for police commission, that is EPD. Commissioner Shivers, I know that historically, police commission has established a line of separation between EPD and the police commission at events. With this new guidance that we have from city, and I would say it's not really a guidance, it's a rule now. What that leaves for us is the option of being able to table with EPD if they are willing to host us. The community engagement team has stated that they are happy to host us at their table at different events. I would like to open the floor for discussion. I want to start with you.
Yeah. I think this is a terrible mistake made by people who are not elected. Did you?
I was getting in the queue.
My bad, sorry.
Keep talking, John.
I think it's a terrible mistake made by people who weren't elected. One of the primary functions we serve as police commissioners is to serve as a liaison between the community and the department, in part because policing is such a sensitive subject for so many people. It is irresponsible to force folks to interact with police officers regardless of the city's reasoning behind it. Because the people we need to hear from most are the people who are least likely to come forward to talk to police officers. In the past, we've worked with the police auditor's office and we've tabled with them. I think that's an excellent middle ground. I think, as a police commissioner, I don't know all the ins and outs. I can't answer every question that somebody has regarding the police department. I can promise to take their words forward to this meeting and share them. But for those more detailed questions, people often need direct feedback to our mechanism for accountability in our department, which is the police auditor's office and the reports that they take. So I think that'd be a much better partner for us as a commission.
It's my understanding the option has been removed, and so we are left with only EPD as far as us having a presence at events.
That is what city staff say, but they are not in charge of the government. Turns out we elect people here.
They are the ones who have the booths.
Yeah.
Counselor Ye.
So my question was gonna be about, the auditor's office, because I've tabled many times and most, if not all of those was with the auditor's office. It works out really well because having enough people for a full day event has been difficult. And so partnering has been super awesome for us. And I think for them as well, is my impression. Trying to think of a nice way to say it. This seems ridiculous. I kind of can get where they're coming from, but I think Sean made all the points that need to be made. So yeah, I'm willing to support the chair if she thinks that we need to have some conversations and maybe we can work on a compromise for this.
I'll put you back in the queue. Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, for the reasons stated, I would not want to table then until this was resolved. I think there needs to be a line of separation with not any kind of disrespect intended. And then it also brings up, I can't resist the opportunity to say, I don't like the fact that we meet here. I know it's convenient for the police, but the police do attend the CRB meetings downtown, and I just feel that asking public that wants to talk about an issue with an independent police commission to go through these doors and walk in here is intimidating. And so I'll use this as an opportunity to pitch the commission that we ought to consider asking the city for another place to meet.
I agree that the location of our meetings can sometimes be a barrier to public participation. I had another thought that ran right away from my head, so I'll move to Commissioner Rainey.
Thank you. The point that struck me was the thing about having a minder and to monitor our interaction with the public. The only time I've done this, at the Asian Festival last year, the question came up, well, should we table with the police or not? And the impression that I got at the time was that the police weren't really eager for that. Wanted us to be a separate thing. It would make some sense in terms of sharing a table with the CRB perhaps, but I would not have objections to our sharing a table with the police. My objection would be, is their function there to monitor what we say? What was that? Considering what goes on at these events, which is we hand out whistles and buttons to kids to annoy their parents with, and no one asked us about the police commission because no one's ever heard of it or could imagine what it does. The attitude expressed concerns me because it seems parallel to the attitude that excluded us from having any input into looking at potential new members for the commission. Both things seem to be coming from the same attitude of you sit down and be quiet, you're doing fine, just right there. And that's a little uncomfortable.
Thank you for sharing that. One thing to keep in mind with the logistics of it all is that we do not have a budget. The other boards and commissions have budgets provided by the city of Eugene. We do not have the wherewithal to actually have a booth or share a table with another group. And so that is one of the reasons why we've been largely dependent on the generosity of Civilian Review Board and the Auditor's Office, who have been willing to let us take up space in the area that they've paid for. So with that in mind, we don't have the capacity to table independently. Commissioner Espinosa Blank.
Yes, Chair Hawkins, I just want to clarify, because I'm new to this.
Sure.
Is the question, what is the optics of having the commission at the same table as the police department?
That is one of the questions, yes. The main discussion this evening would be, do we, as the police commission, want to take up EPD on their offer, the very generous offer to host us in the community engagement team booths? And you have a comment on the optics, because I know that that's something that definitely was coming up this evening.
My comment would be that I know of many people who are quite reluctant to come to this facility because they're not really sure of what, another, I don't think there is that of surveillance or how they're going to be perceived. I'm also, to be very clear, my husband is a retired deputy from Lane County. So I feel like I have a little of insight as to how some things work and how there isn't a, there isn't from the police department or from the deputies department that they're trying to catch anybody or surveillance anybody, that they really want people to come and be open about what's going on in their lives.
And the community engagement team is a level of separation from EPD patrol. I have noticed with the many times that I've tabled that just simply having the term police commission is off-putting to several folks in the community, and that they feel just by the name that we are affiliated with the police department. And that is a challenge that presents itself. Commissioner Shivers.
Yeah, to address Alan's point about moving, we have tried it in the past. One of the biggest problems was that people couldn't find us, so our attendance dropped. And then COVID happened and our attendance went to 0 for a while anyway. So I think with this attention, if we're going to make a change, now would be a good time, especially with the new city building. I would also make a motion to ask city council to overturn this decision by city staff. Our function is fundamentally different than EPD's. It is much closer in purpose to the auditor. And the relevance is just not there. So I move to request city council to tell the government to tell the staff to change this decision. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, with the motion is made by Commissioner Shivers and seconded by Counselor Groves. So additional discussion on the motion made by Commissioner Shivers.
Just ask a question.
Yes.
The information you had about the auditor's office not being an option anymore, was that coming from the auditor or the same city staff was saying we're foreclosing that, or did the auditor say we don't want it?
It's my understanding that this directive came from the Office of Equity and Community Engagement, not necessarily from the auditor's office. And so I don't know if that door has been closed by the auditor's office, and I hate to turn and look at her to make decisions. And so, but the directive that Holly received was from the city manager's office on behalf of the Office of Equity and Community Engagement.
Well, if we don't have a budget, then your motion, I would just say, why don't we include to put us with the auditor and then.
Councilor Yang.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be to friendly add that the council also needs to consider a solution for, paying for outreach, like whether that's doing it with the auditor or, figuring out our own funds, but yeah. Whatever the solution is, I think they need to be paired.
Yeah, I don't want to make the motion too complicated, but, and look for additional solutions to tabling and community outreach.
Is that a friendly amendment you
Yeah.
are accepting? Thank you. Seek additional solutions. Commissioner Rady.
My comment is not on the resolution, it's on the issue, so I can hold it until we approve or not approve the motion.
Any further discussion on the motion on the table with its friendly amendment? I'll call to a vote. All in,
Restate the motion, please.
Commissioner Shivers.
I move to recommend to city council that they direct city staff to reverse their decision and look for other opportunities for us to table. Engage with the community. Might be a better way of phrasing it.
And it's seek additional solutions or opportunities.
Solutions.
Solutions to engage the community. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And are there any abstentions?
Oh, thank.
Thank you, Commissioner Rady. All right, I will work on that memo to City Council and Commissioner Rady. We're back to the topic.
Yeah, just one point, and it's a brief one. They imagine that. Part of our mission, as I read it, and it's not the chief part of our mission, which is recommending policy, but part of our mission is improving communications between Eugene Police Department and the city residents. And I think it behooves us to do what we can to overcome the reticence some people have to speak to police officers, come to the police headquarters, visit a table that says police on it. As part of our job, I think, is to try and break those barriers down. That's all.
Or sometimes move right around them.
Didn't do that.
All right. Thank you for the discussion on that agenda item. For the chief's report this evening, we have acting in capacity Chief Burke, and the floor is yours, Chief.
Thank you. For those that don't know me, my name is Jake Burke. This is my second meeting, my first one in person. My day job is the investigations captain, and I'm filling in for Chief Skinner. So thanks for having me. I'll keep it kind of short because we have a lot of people here for public comment. I just want to touch base on some events over the weekend, specifically 4th of July, starting Friday. So there was quite a bit of planning going into Friday. And we did operations where we asked for extra staffing to staff between it was 4 p.m. and 2 a.m. both Friday the 4th and Saturday the 5th. And so we had the Butte to Butte race that we were also required to staff, and so we had a lot of officers here for that. And then we were going to have 4 officers to respond to fireworks calls in specific. There was a pretty significant incident that happened downtown involving a person that was possibly suicidal. And so it took up quite a bit of time and resources And so because of that, we were able to de-escalate and everything ended peacefully. So, but because of that, we were only able to staff 2 officers through the night into the fireworks and assess that. There were about 202 calls for service that night, which is up from the previous years. Of those, about 113 calls were specifically coded as fireworks calls. And I should back up a little bit too. Previous to this, we did a lot of information sending out to the media and to the public, asking for firework turn-in and asking people to abide by the rules of the city and with fireworks being illegal. And so we had about 25 calls for service that were specifically those officers were sent out to. Those were coded specifically for like illegal fireworks. So of those calls for service, they were able to respond to 21 of those calls for service. And so it's a pretty good response to those calls. And basically we did a lot of public awareness and dissolving situations and asking people not to set off fireworks and moving forward. So, and then the only other thing I would say is the Metro Explosives Disposal Unit collected approximately 350 pounds of fireworks as a result of the public relations and people turning them in. So that was a plus as well. So, yes.
What do we do with those after we get them?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm not part of that team. I think they probably take them out and dispose of them.
We
They
all
have
wanna
like
be there for that
they have
party.
like containers or they have a safe way to dispose. So.
Chief Groves, did you have a?
No, I did.
Okay. Commissioner Lyman.
Thanks. I just wanted to acknowledge, we had a big event at Hayward and we have some big ones coming up and those really put us on the national, our threat level goes up and I just want to appreciate EPD for, they seem to go seamless and we don't notice, but we know that there are things that we don't see that are happening. And so we appreciate that. Thank you.
Chief Burke, what sort of things is EPD preparing for example, at the beginning of football season, move-in day, et cetera, other things that are large in this town?
All of the above. So
Excellent.
when school gets back in and football events and those are regular and there's a cadence to those. And so we work a lot with our partner agencies and we're prepared for that.
Okay. Since I have you on the floor, I did send this out to the police commissioners today, but there was a department command directive issued July 7th. The subject is guidance for requests for assistance at the federal building involving immigration. It's from the desk of Chief Skinner, outlining exactly the procedure that will be followed by EPD if there is a call from the federal building for immigration assistance. Chief Burke, can you tell us a little bit about how the command directive comes to the team and specifically what's in it? I know you know what's in it, but I bet you do.
Yeah, so first of all, I kind of want to explain command directives and what they're intended for. Or the commission has oversight over policies. Command directives sometimes can be information through an ever-changing environment where we have to get information out right now to staff and then they become policy later on and stuff. Sometimes command directives are to provide guidance to staff since early June and throughout the country with demonstrations and the complexity of the response for especially involving sanctuary laws in like our state. We crafted a command directive to our staff so to give them some clear guidance, backing up and that we follow the sanctuary laws and that this is our response. And I would also like to say too is for a lot of years, well before I got here, and I'll back up, I've only been here about 15 months, okay? So, but for a lot of years, Eugene Police Department is responsible for responding to the federal building. And so it becomes more complex when now immigration laws are being enforced throughout the country and the state of Oregon. And so we wanted to give clear guidance to our staff so they knew what to do when giving calls for assistance.
Thank you for that. This response guidance says, any requests for assistance at the federal building involving public demonstrations shall be handled as follows. 1, no imminent threat. Requests that involve demonstrations where there is no imminent threat to public safety shall be directed to the on-duty watch commander or designee. Item 2, the initial assessment The watch commander or designee should respond and assess from a distance and attempt to establish communication with the complainant and if possible with Federal Protective Services. Chief Burke, who is Federal Protective Services in this case? Is this a separate law enforcement agency?
Yeah, so to be clear, the federal building houses a multitude of federal agencies and employees that are not immigration. So there is an immigration office there, but there's a lot of staff that don't have any arrest rights or anything like that. There's civilian staff, there's veteran affairs, everything else. Part of that is Federal Protective Services. We call them FPS. They may wear a polo that says HSI, but HSI has numerous federal components to it, to include Federal Protective
It's
Services.
the HSI for Homeland
I'm
Security.
sorry. Yeah, Homeland Security.
Thank you.
So Homeland Security, which ICE also is under Homeland Security, but Federal Protective Services, their sole job is basically security for the federal building, to manage security for the staff there and for the property there.
So when you're establishing communication with them, that's in regards to their premises and their staff?
Yeah.
Thank you. The watch commander will assess the situation to determine whether the request for assistance facilitates immigration enforcement, such as the transport of detainees. Resources such as drones may be used to assist with the assessment if crimes involving the public demonstration are being reported. On-duty plainclothes personnel should not be used for surveillance without prior approval by the watch commander. If the request for assistance does not imply immigration enforcement, follow policy 316 on public assemblies and demonstrations. Any comments about that section, Chief Burke?
Just that we support the right to First Amendment, freedom of speech, to peaceful assembly. And we also abide by the sanctuary laws of the state of Oregon. The complexity of those laws and the nuances involving anytime there may be some immigration enforcement going on at the federal building is why we ask for that assessment before we go in, because we don't want to get involved with the demonstration. We don't want to admonish people just to make space for if there's detainees on immigration to be transported, because that the interpretation of the law would be that would be using our resources to assist with immigration and deportation. And so we really want to be careful of that. And as long as there's peaceful assembly, then we won't be involved. Federal Protective Services can manage what they're doing on their property and the safety and security of their staff.
Item 3 says approval requirement. If request for assistance does implicate immigration enforcement, but there is no imminent safety threat, approval from the patrol captain is required before any EPD personnel respond or engage further. Item 4, limitations on assistance. No EPD resources shall be used in support of immigration enforcement in accordance with ORS 181A.826, City Ordinance, and Policy 305. EPD personnel shall not assist in admonishing, dispersing, or physically moving crowds for the sole purpose of facilitating the transport of immigration detainees. If low-level crimes such as vandalism or trespass are reported, we will take a report and follow up. I appreciate EPD issuing this very specific guidance to the staff. Also, it concludes with nothing in this directive precludes members of the Eugene Police Department from defending against a threat to life or serious bodily injury to any individual, including any peace officer. That would include federal officers, wouldn't it?
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Or managing riotous behavior if declared by the watch commander or designee. For the public who's here this evening, Chief Burke, can you please define watch commander?
Watch commander would generally be a lieutenant or a supervisor at the highest level for. They are in charge of all of our patrol staff that are working throughout the day 24/7. And so usually a lieutenant is in charge of that. So
Thank you very
it's a higher
much.
level supervisor.
Thank you for explaining that command directive.
You're welcome.
All right, we will go into the meat and the bones of what we do on the police commission. We're going to begin policy review. I know a lot of folks here are looking forward to this discussion. To be very clear, the policy review is conducted by the police commission to assist the chief and the police department with having guidance on how the officers interact with the public and their actions during any particular activity, enforcement activity. This is not the time for public comment. Any statements from the public are not, obviously, they would be on public record since we are being recorded, but this is not the time for the public to share any feedback about this. This is for the commission to discuss these policies. There will be time for public comment at the end. If you want to speak for public comment and have not already done so, please fill out one of those blue sheets on the table by the door and hand them to Vice Chair Folks, who is keeping meticulous track of them for me. And we will make sure that you have an opportunity to be heard this evening. We are moving into review of policy 1204, automated license plate readers. Chief Burke, since you've been very public facing regarding the flock cameras already, I would actually like to start with you describing for us the flock cameras. And I know you have a frequently asked questions kind of sheet and some factoids for us.
Sure. So license plate recognition, automated license plate recognition systems or readers have been around for over a decade, for a lot of years. What they are intended to do is they're cameras that are placed in areas they can capture license plates of vehicles or vehicle characteristics and provide real-time alerts to law enforcement if a vehicle is associated with like for instance, like an Amber Alert or warrants or a murder suspect or organized retail theft or something like that. So they can send out the alerts. They are intended to capture the rear license plate of a vehicle. They do not capture faces. They could if somebody's looking out a back window or something when the image is captured, but almost all the time it's just the license plate of the vehicle. So it's an investigative tool that we are able to use to locate vehicles involved in criminal activity or like I said, missing persons or Amber Alerts. We just talk about a little bit. So we as an agency, when we talked about this technology and using this technology to help our officers, we talked about ways to employ those in the city of Eugene. We were very specific about keeping those on main arterials or thoroughfares that are public roadways. They're placed out there, and when the vehicles go by, like I said, we could get alerts on a vehicle, and then the officers then, before they take action on any kind of alert, like let's say it's a stolen vehicle, we would ask the officers that when practical to verify the information through a nationwide database system or through dispatch before taking any kind of action. So there's more to this. But I think,
Yes, thank you.
so
Holly, EPD staff, I did reach out to the ACLU to see if they wanted to have somebody speak this evening. And I don't know if they would be able to send someone in person or online. So if we have anyone from the ACLU who would like to represent their side of this discussion, please raise your hand and we'll be happy to promote you to speaker online or if you're in the room. Because I did hold space, well, I guess on my own personal agenda, which sounds weird now that I think about it. But I am prepared to take a statement for the ACLU if there is one this evening.
Let's see anything yet.
Okay. All right. Well then, Vice Chair, let's have a motion so we can open this policy review.
So moved. Oh, I motion to open discussion. Is that
So we
right?
need,
Move to
yes.
adopt the policy. Thank you for bearing with me as I
Yes.
learn. I appreciate it.
That's okay. We have a motion from Vice Chair Folks to adopt a policy 1204 as presented to us in our packet this evening. Is there a second?
We don't adopt policy.
It's just true. We review the policy and discuss it. Thank you very much for that clarification. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rady. The floor is now open for discussion on automated license plate readers. And I'll start with Vice Chair Folks.
Thank you. Question under, on page 2, so page 14 of our packet. Section 1204.4, data collection and retention, section B. The data is cloud-based and stored for 30 days through an ALPR vendor. In reading this, it sounds like there are very specific instances and information as to EPDs access and whatnot, but what about the vendor? What type of access do they have? And are they able to sell data? Are they able to transfer data? Can they do whatever they want?
Would
So-
everybody speak up, please?
I can close the door.
Oh, they've done it.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much for that. If you do go out, though, it locks, so just knock, we'll let you back in.
So-
Can you repeat your question?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll try and be loud. Thank you. Okay, good. So my question was, under section 1204.4, data collection and retention, section B, as in boy, the data is cloud-based and stored for 30 days through an ALPR vendor. And my question was, what type of access do they have to that data specifically beyond EPD, but what kind of access do they have to that data? Can they sell that? Can they use that?
So the chief and I actually were on a phone conference with Flock specifically, especially after a lot of the comments that we're already hearing about LPRs. And I've also been in the development of the contract through the entirety of the time and stuff. And so one of the biggest concerns was privacy, data privacy, security of the data. That's a concern of the public. It's a concern of us as well. So 30 days is the time frame in which the data is stored and then it's gone. It's not collected, it's not kept, it's not for infinity or whatever else, it's just gone. The only time that it stays any longer is if a police officer uses it for like an evidence piece. So if I go out and it's successful in the aid of a crime that I'm investigating, then I would take that image that I was able to get from the camera, I would download it into evidence, and that would be retained for the purposes of prosecution or adjudication on the case, whatever the rules and laws are pertaining to that. They're not allowed to sell the data or give or share the data without express authorization from EPD. So our data belongs to us. Sorry, I'm just looking in the direction here, but our data belongs to us. And we ask those specific questions because there's a lot of information coming out that they share with immigrations or they share with federal agencies and whatnot. And they specifically, well, what I already knew told us that they do not share that information with any of those entities. And that if there was and then for instance, they said if there was a subpoena from, let's say, immigrations for data from EPD, they would be required then to have their legal team send it to our legal team to process the subpoena for information for data. So we are in control of who we share it with, and we have to give express authorization to do that. And that's clearly outlined in the contract, which was also approved or vetted through our legal team. Well,
Additional questions, Commissioner Wilgus.
In section 1204.4A, it talks about other approved law enforcement that may have access to it, and I'm curious which other approved law enforcement would have access to this.
yeah. So as we built this or as we engaged with these cameras, there's different options. Okay, so who we could share this with. And we get requests from other Flock users. When we first started with Flock, and it's not completed yet, we were getting nationwide requests for access. We even got it from federal agencies and declined those. When we first started, we had it nationwide, so people could see that we had cameras, and we were sharing it with just the Northwest region, like Oregon, Washington, Idaho. And then since that time, we've decided that we only want to share it with Oregon agencies because we know that they abide by the same sanctuary laws that we're required to abide by as well. And so it limits any kind of vulnerabilities of data. So, thank you. So right now it's just Oregon agencies is the short answer.
Commissioner Espinoza Blank.
Chief Burke, along the same line, what if there was an executive order that wanted it? Would you have to comply with them
An executive order from
the president?
Well, that would have to go through our legal team to make a decision because we're required to abide by not just our state laws, but our ordinances. And so that would have to go to legal to manage any kind of request or subpoena or court orders.
Councilor Yang.
Yeah, Great question. Some of those were mine. So your answer to when the question about like other states sharing with other states, I wonder how that interacts with like Amber Alerts, where someone might be going through multiple states.
That's a good question. Thank you. If like an Amber Alert, it would depend on the agency that entered the, they call it a hot list, but it would depend on the agency that entered the information. So if it's attached to the National Law Enforcement Database, then it would, if we allow our system to search or to alert on Amber Alerts specifically, then it doesn't matter whether we share cameras with them or not, we would still get the alert on the plate.
And my other question was, in 1205.58, it talks about public records requests. And I'm wondering if you know in what situation someone would be able to make a public records request of this information, or if there is even.
There's a lot of them going on right now. So that's the right for people to make public records requests, and we have an office here that manages that and goes through it with legal and whatever we can present, we will.
So if someone within those 30 days thought that, I mean, you could just, I'm like, how much information could a person get?
Maybe I misunderstood your question.
Well, it says non-law enforcement requests are to be, I'm basically referred to the public records program supervisor. So I'm assuming that means there are situations where someone could make a public records request.
We wouldn't supply information from the cameras,
Oh, okay.
like data that comes in from the cameras to anybody unless it was for law enforcement.
So they can make a request, but it would be denied.
That would be something
Okay.
that.
That's kind of a weird thing to have in here though. So maybe it should be clarified that I don't know how we would word that to make it say like, this is the process, but it's not going to happen because it makes it seem like it could happen. So that's a little, maybe some rewording there on that one.
I have a few hands in the queue. Chief Burke, I know that in multiple other policies and specifically in the technology policy, we have the written commitment from EPD to not use facial software technology, facial recognition software. Can you please reaffirm that?
And referring that we are not using facial recognition.
Thank you.
Or anywhere else.
Thank you. In the queue, I have Commissioner Lyman, followed by Commissioner Shivers and Wilgus.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, my question is a follow-up, I think, to Counselor Ye. So I hear that about Amber Alerts, but like you just made an arrest based on an out-of-state warrant that a flock detected. So you talk about a hot list. If some state wants to find someone and puts out like on that list, it's going to alert whether we share data or not. Am I understanding correct? So Florida has a warrant for, this car with this license plate and it shows up they put it on the list and it shows up on 8th and Oak. Like, will that trigger Eugene? Whether we're cooperating with them or not, you'll know that there's this out-of-state warrant here. Is that how?
I think I'm understanding your question, Commissioner. If a vehicle, so if there's any information attached to that license plate that is associated with some kind of wanted, like a wanted hit or missing person hit or something like that, it will alert the officers that are connected.
And then it's on us whether we take action or do it, because this implicates right away, like that person in Texas, that law enforcement officer tracking the abortion seeker, so if they put a plate on the list, do we know, like, is it our discretion to act on, Idaho wants this person because they're fleeing Idaho for good reason, for probably a good reason.
Yeah, the answer is yes, it is our discretion on how and when we act on these alerts. I would also say, I would encourage the commissioners to look at some information that come out. We talked to Flock, and I know that there's a lot of information about that Texas case. And so the CEO of Flock put out some information. You just have to find it, Google it, and there's a response to that specific incident. And I'm not gonna sit here and speak on behalf of Flock, but there is a response to that and how it may not have been happen the way. it
And
was
I'm just
purported.
trying to get to the point that, we may not share, but we will be alerted to whatever anyone else in the flock system, when they are interested in a car, that's what the system's about in a license plate. I mean, we'll
Correct.
get an alert, and how we deal with that is at the discretion. All right, thank
Correct.
you.
Commissioner Shivers.
Yeah, so I think broadly speaking, these cameras bring a lot of utility to our city. Obviously, right now, immigration is top of mind and reliability of the federal government. So earlier we talked about if ICE, if the federal government submits a request, we will send it to our legal department. To be clear, we won't provide the data until that legal question is satisfied, correct?
That is correct.
And if that 30 days is up before that legal question is satisfied, it will be deleted.
That is correct. The
Excellent.
data is not there.
So what I'm seeing here is the data goes in, ICE wants the data. We send it to the lawyers to kill for 30 days. And then the data is deleted so they can't request it.
I think I get where you're going, but I think too, to be clear also is these are for like administrative immigration purposes, you know, if it's a warrant signed by a magistrate and it's under the ORS, then there might be instances where we're required to take action.
Broadly speaking.
But broadly speaking.
Yeah.
And so your question is we would not comply with that. We would not take action on that or comply with any kind of request. Legal would have to review that.
So it sounds to me like part of our goal here as a commission is recommending that if something isn't illegal in our state, we shouldn't devote resources of the police department to stop or arresting those folks, i.e. Folks who are wanted in Texas or Idaho or wherever for abortion related things, people who are wanted for immigration related things. We don't need to make a motion or anything, but I think that's what I'm hearing from the rest of the table. So I wanted to put it in concise words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Wilgus.
Two things, just agreeing with Commissioner Ye that section 1205.5A is contradictory to 1204.4A. The other note is 1205.5E, just a question on that one. It says ALPR system audits should be conducted on a regular basis. And my question was, how is regular basis defined?
Well, that's my job to do the audits and we can define it any which way that we wanted to, I suppose. So we do quarterly audits. I can add that to the policy. Yeah, it's
Right.
Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. Captain, just to help me make sure I understand this in my mind. I know we've had two cases, one where we had another state assist us in an embezzlement case. We may not be able to talk to that one since that's still an ongoing investigation. But then my understanding is we just had a murder suspect from another state that was apprehended here and based on information. How does that work between the two states? I know you had, the one state needs to make a request. But was that just the automated piece you were talking about that popped up on the screen, murder suspect? And we got them, or did the other state reach out to us?
The other, in the last thing that you were talking about, where the murder suspect from Wisconsin, the other state reached out to us.
Okay.
With some information about the murder suspect. And that he was armed and dangerous, and there was some work done by detectives to determine who he might be associated with and a vehicle associated with that person.
Okay.
So it was successful and it was aiding in the capture of this person.
So
through
this
that.
isn't generally something that just automatically happens, or some kind of communication from police department to police agency?
It can be, sir. I'll just use it like in my experience. Okay, so
I don't
I
want to
was,
get in the weeds, but I'm trying to
No.
understand how this works.
It's a good question. So if I was working a case and let's say a homicide case, and I developed a suspect with a vehicle information that that person was driving, and let's say they were fleeing out of the jurisdiction that I was working, then I could enter that plate and that person into the law enforcement database, nationwide or statewide. If I enter that into the database, then it will hit off of the license plate reader, regardless if we share cameras or not. It depends on what we're looking for, and there's categories that we can adjust our cameras. Like, we don't look for everything. We only look for stolen vehicles, wanted persons, amber alerts, those kinds of things. So there's just specific things that are attached to the plate that are attached to the database for law enforcement.
So if Wisconsin hadn't reached out to our agency here, it would have had a hit on our system. But would Wisconsin have known that it hit on our system, or is there a firewall there?
There's a firewall there. They would
Okay.
not know. The information that Wisconsin had was that this person was hiding in Eugene, Oregon.
Got it.
So-
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have more hands in the queue. I wanted to say Commissioner Bradley, after I get through the next two hands, I would love for you to make a statement from the perspective of Human Rights Commission. I have Vice Chair Folks and then Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you. In addition to Commissioner Wilgus, section 1205.5, section E, ALPR system audit should be conducted on a regular basis. So what information is audited? And you've sort of already answered that. Who completes those audits? Is it just you?
Well, it's me or somebody that works with me, and they give the report to me. So, but I'm responsible for those audits. So, we do an internal audit and an external audit to see who's accessing our data, and then internally to ensure that it's for law enforcement purposes only. So what are the reasons for the search? And it's accountability, it's a quality thing to make sure that we're doing things the way that we're supposed to be doing. And it's also to make sure that who we're sharing it with is who we want to be sharing it with, and that who's doing any kind of searches on our data is the right people. So.
And then I have a side question. Can it be hacked? Can that information be hacked at all? I mean, I guess anything is possible. That's a silly question, but are there any, it does say that there's like a login and password to access this specific database, but are there other protections in place?
Well, I will tell you that during the development of this, when we first went out to RFI, I worked really closly with our City of Eugene IT.
RFI.
Oh, request for information, sorry. No acronyms at the table. So when we went out for a request for information, we worked really closely with our IT department, and these safety and security measures for single sign-on requirements is a City of Eugene requirement. It's a measure that helps ensure that nobody else is accessing it, and our data is as secure as possible. I can't answer whether or not it can be breached. I think anything can be breached that we have access to, or data that's out there. There's so much out there. So, but there are terms of the contract that if Flock breaches any kind of terms of those contract, that we can end that contract. So I can't answer, but anything's possible.
I'm going to insert myself in the queue here, following up on that question from Vice Chair Folks. I work in healthcare, and if there is a data breach of personal or protected health information, the organization is required to provide a notification to the public or to their patient base. If there was a data breach of this Flock system, would EPD provide a notification?
Yeah, I think we are obligated to, for transparency. That's one other thing I wanted to talk about at some point before we move off this topic is transparency for our community. So I think we would be obligated and ask Flock to work with them to put something out.
Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. Just I want to address what we're calling a contradiction in 1205.5A. That's a public, so it says non-law enforcement requests will go to the public records program supervisor and process in accordance with applicable law. And I've heard EPD tell us tonight that we will not give it out for any reason, but I'm not prepared. This is new, this is new and it's new to Oregon and I didn't do legal research to say that it's possible that a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, someone's gonna look for data, whether this car was in the vicinity of Oakway on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Like that request is sure to come. I just don't, I want to say as I sit here right now, I'm not so certain the answer is no, they absolutely won't get it. I don't know, and maybe that is in the future, but so I'm not sure that it's, that it's a foregone conclusion that, some non-law enforcement reason couldn't, through proper, following the law, applicable law, get the data. That's the only point.
Can I respond?
Sure, of
Commissioner? It's a
course.
good point. I understand that we probably need to clarify this paragraph. I think it's captured in other parts of the policy when it discusses that this data will only be used by law enforcement personnel for law enforcement purposes. The team that looks over any public records requests and our legal team within the city, that would be something that wouldn't be available just by the premise of that we can't share this data with anybody except for a law enforcement person. But I do understand the need for clarity of the paragraph.
Well, my point only being that our policy is not going to try, if by public records law somehow they can act, if it doesn't meet the requirement of purely investigative law enforcement. I mean, that's the only, I'll take your word for, in our policy, it's stated that it can't. I'm just saying that it's a legal question, not a Eugene to decide question. That's a public records law question. How I would frame.
Commissioner Bradley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So from the HRC perspective, I think I can safely state that regarding Commissioner Shivers' comment that it's unlikely that the HRC would be supportive, the HRC would not support us participating in or informing other law enforcement agencies of violations of law and another, let me rephrase. It is, the HRC would not support reporting the location or presence of someone who has violated a law that is not in place in our own jurisdiction. Does that make sense? So that's what I think I can safely say. I should also mention that, about 97% of us, give or take a couple percentage points, have already sold all of our protected information to a handful of companies around the country that know where we are and what we are doing in great detail, that is far more invasive than any kind of flock camera would be or is. And though this is of significant importance, please note that, if you have a smartphone in your hand or in your pocket right now, our privacy is significantly compromised.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Bradley. Commissioner Reedy.
Yeah. I'd like to make a point about this because, and Commissioner Bradley's remarks are a good intro. License plate. My understanding is that a lot of what the police do is try and find people. The police do not generally prevent crime because they can't be everywhere when it's happening. They find out about it and then go look for somebody. And there are different ways to find people. You can recognize a face if you have a picture of it or a good description. A car model, color, year is helpful. An address is helpful if there is one, a phone. But if you have a car, you stuck a piece of metal on there with numbers and a unique code that identifies you and nobody else for the purpose of the police being able to identify whose car that is. And if an officer can see it with their eyes, and that's okay, but you don't want a machine with a camera seeing it with its eye and then someone seeing it there. I'm curious what the principle is you're defending. I'm really baffled about it because this is something you put on your car in order to identify it out in public. The police are not looking for you unless there are one of those limited reasons that was given. And I know there is a general pervasive fear that they're looking for you and out to get you, and drones would be an invasion of privacy, and cameras would be an invasion of privacy. But as Commissioner Bradley just pointed out, you gave all that up already, to say nothing of the security cameras mounted on every store and doorbell cameras on people's houses and people walking around with cell phone cameras. You're out there, you can be seen and known. And we actually want the police to find people that they're looking for. This would make that easier. I think it's probably, and with all the proper protections that have been pointed out that are needed for that data, this is what we want. For the police to find the people they're looking for. It's more efficient and it protects us a whole lot better. Now, if you don't believe that the police should be looking for people or should find people, then it's perfectly reasonable to oppose this. But I don't quite see it.
Commissioner Shivers?
Yeah, I think we've all had a chance to speak now, so I would love to vote on this. I move to call the question.
And are we? So it sounds like we have some murkiness around 12.55A. And Chief Burke has already established that it needs a little bit more work. So I don't know if we are quite ready to move it yet or to table the discussion. Commissioner Reedy?
I would move to table the discussion until we can get either an opinion or a rewriting of 1205.5A.
Councilor Ye.
Yeah, I would be in support of that. I don't know if I'm going to second it. I'm seconding it, but I'm also just wanted to add on. We also have a lot of folks here tonight who want to talk about this specifically. And just in case we have missed something, I'd really like to hear what people have to say before we just, move on.
Thank you very much.
Chief Burke, before we close this discussion, you had some points you wanted to bring to our attention as well.
I did want to bring up that we're in the process of developing a transparency portal that we want to put on our website. I wasn't prepared to pull it up on the big screen, but I can pass this around. It gives an overall objective and it explains some policies, what's detected, what's not detected, acceptable use policy, prohibited uses such as immigration enforcement, traffic enforcement, harassment, intimidation. The policy hot lists, requirements, data retention, how many cameras we have, and then who we share our camera or our data with, and then where the hot lists are alerted to. So it gives a lot of information that's going to be publicly facing so that they can put on our website, and then we'll put something out alerting everybody in the community where to access it.
Commissioner
Thank you, Chair Hawkins. I have one, it's a real basic question. Has this already been looked at by the budget, and there is a budget and it's already paid for?
It's a good question. Thank you. So we were very aware of the budget concerning the general fund. This was done in its entirety outside of any monies involving the general fund. We applied for a grant back in spring of 2024 through the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, is an Oregon Retail Theft Grant. There were multiple law enforcement agencies around the state that applied for the same grant. There was a pot of money that if you applied and were awarded the money, then and you had to specify what it was going to be used for. So we were awarded a little over $391,000, and that was specific just for the use of this. So we purchased 2-year contract for Flock, and it was all with the monies from the grant. So you're welcome.
Any further questions for Chief Burke? All right, we have a motion that's been seconded to table this discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. And if there are any abstentions, please let me know. So that passes unanimously to table this motion. For those in the public, Police Commission does not meet in the month of August. That means that the next time reviewed, this policy will be no earlier than our September meeting. But we do definitely look forward to the public comments. Right, we will switch gears and move into our review of policy 305, which has to do with immigration law. Let me find my pages. I got outsmarted by my own. packet.
Oh, 17.
All right.
17.
Page 17, policy 305 for the Eugene Police Department, immigration law. And this has come to us all in our packets. We've had some time to study it. Vice Chair, is there a motion to put it on the table?
Motion to put this policy on the table.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bradley. The floor is open for discussion on policy 305. Okay, we will happily begin with Commissioner Reedy.
I just love 305.6, the second sentence. The first sentence reads, any request, including record requests from federal immigration officials for assistance relating to immigration enforcement other than a judicial subpoena shall be directed to the record supervisor or watch commander. The watch commander will decline the request. Outlaw.
Further discussion. Captain Burke, Chief Burke, this evening. Do you have any comments about this policy or any clarifications that you can bring to us?
Only that we can affirm that the Eugene Police Department will abide by sanctuary state laws and continue to do so. We have done so.
Counselor?
Yeah, so just for the, transparency, in 305.4, it says except as required by state or federal law. And I'm sure that that's confusing for many people. I probably couldn't list off everything. I'm wondering if you could give, like, what are some of those exceptions, just so folks know.
Can I ask for some clarification?
Oh, yeah, 305.4A says, except as required by state or federal law, the police department will not disclose for purposes of enforcement. So that all of this information, address, workplace, blah, 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 blah. But since it says except as required by state or federal law, that means there are instances where we might. And I'm just wondering if you could share what those might be.
Thank you, Counselor. The only thing that I can think of as it pertains to the ORS would be if there was a federal warrant signed by or a federal magistrate. Other than that, we're prohibited from sharing any information for the purposes of immigration. So we're required of sharing all of this information. We can't just call up immigration services and say, give any of this information for immigration purposes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think it's a very complicated issue and it just helps if we can give out as much information as we can.
Chief Burke, I know that there's been a lot of visibility in the media regarding an incident at ICE downtown and EPD's, the perception of EPD's involvement with that. Can you explain for us how EPD responded?
I can explain to a point, and I'll start with this, Commissioner. The building was the federal building. So there's a office there for ICE. It was the federal building. I would like to start off by saying there's, I think, about 50 complaints to the auditor's office regarding this evening. If we're referring
The
to
community is
July
doing
1st.
their work.
So, and we welcome any kind of scrutiny or for accountability purposes, because we want to be transparent in what we did. That will spur an incident review. So there will be an incident review internally by the oversaw by the auditor's office, excuse me. And so with that being said, there'll be fact finding that'll come out of it and more information about specific details. broadly speaking, we put out a press release. I don't have that sitting in front of me, but we did get a call for service, and the call for service came from Federal Protective Services regarding a demonstration that was occurring there. We did not admonish or move the crowd or interact with the crowd for purposes of supporting immigration transportation. This was also one of those incidents where I think the officers did a good job making sure that once we learned that there was detainees for immigration, it clearly gave us clear direction on how we were going to proceed from there. There were some crimes reported, and we took a report from that. We didn't get involved or engage at the time because there was no imminent threat to safety. And so we did take a report of that, and we'll follow that up later.
And to be clear for the community, the auditor is an independent auditor employed by the city of Eugene, not affiliated with the Eugene Police Department. And the auditor processes those complaints. And then the civilian review board at times will also review the auditor's work on those complaints.
Chair Hawkins, it looks like our minutes recorder has her hand up.
I noticed that. Pam, we see your hand. Pam is our minutes recorder. And Holly's going to ask you to unmute.
Yes.
You may need to promote her to panelist, possibly.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Pam, thank you so much for being here to record this for us. What can we do for you?
Oh, I did not click my hand. I'm sorry. I didn't even think I got close to
Hold
it.
on just a second. We need to get audio, and it's good to know this because we will have public comment online, I'm sure.
I can hear you all clearly.
Can't hear you.
Just have some.
If we could have her just text me and I can.
Okay, Pam, could you please text or email your question to Holly? And Holly, we will need to figure out how to get that going before we go to public comment. Commissioner Bradley?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Acting Chief, for the report. I just want to make sure that we all know and that it's noted that one of the largest tenants of that building, of the federal building, it's actually not ICE or the IRS. It is mental health consumers and mental health clinicians there and people who are recovering from homelessness. And so there's an element of safety that's involved there that perhaps isn't widely known or understood because it's not a traditional place for such a clinic to exist, but it does exist there.
Thank you for sharing that, Chamber.
Commissioner, I also wanted to add too, we also got a complaint to the auditor's office regarding EPD's not protecting the community member from the demonstration and stuff. So there's both sides of this that we're in the middle of. And I would also like to add, even though I can't speak to detail regarding the July 1st demonstration there, there was another one this past week. And there's a lot of misunderstanding maybe of the employees that are in that building. The commissioner said it very well, and I appreciate that. There's a lot of employees there. I've spoke to some individually that have no law enforcement background, and they're scared because they park underneath there. And I know Federal Protective Services, like I said before, I think they wear a polo shirt that says HSI on it. I think they went out and interacted in this last demonstration with the demonstrators and asked for some compliance to help make sure that employees going to and from that building can do so safely. And I think that's really the bottom line is peaceful demonstration. We support that 100% as long as the employees there feel safe and there's no crimes being committed. So I just wanted to add that.
Commissioner Rogas?
I just want to remind people who are here for public comment or listening that it's even in quiet tones, it's hard for me to hear if you are talking. So I'd ask people to reserve comments until it's time to comment. Thank you.
Councilors Groves and Ye, can you please reaffirm for us the city standpoint?
Yes.
Councilor Groves.
Well, one of I was the no vote on referring this back to the city council because we had just discussed it within the prior 2 weeks and reaffirmed our commitment to this. And considering we don't have enough time to get everything done as it is, we didn't need more from redundancy. I felt we stated our position very clearly, and that's why I voted the way I did. I mean, it's, the council is behind the ordinance, the council is behind state law. I think we've made it very clear.
I think it's important to also remember, councils change, but this is also a state law. So there's an added protection that should, for some reason, the makeup of the council shifts and that council doesn't want to support these ordinances, the state is telling them to do it. So we have that extra layer of support, which I think is important.
Chief Birkin, 3053A, it says a request from DHS does not provide legal basis to stop or detain an individual or to prolong the detention of an individual. Officers must have an independent legal basis to stop or detain any individual. It is the policy of this department that we do not ask about immigration status unless it is directly related to the crime being investigated. In what way would immigration status be directly related to a crime that is being investigated by EPD?
The only way I can think of it is if there was a signed warrant by a federal magistrate. I can't think of any reason why we would ask about immigration status.
And is EPD obligated to pursue that federal warrant? How does that work as far as maintaining city and state sanctuary?
If it is somebody that is in our custody or that we're in contact with on a confirmed warrant signed by a magistrate, we are required to then take them.
And would you be taking them into custody on that particular warrant for anything to do with immigration, or would it be for some other activity that violated city or state ordinance?
It could be both. It could be one of both. It could be depending on the nature of the contact with the person.
Judge Lyman, do you have any clarification that you can provide for those of us who don't live in this world?
No, but I'm understanding the acting chief to say that if there's a valid federal warrant, that could even be for an immigration offense? No, so if there's it would need to be a criminal.
The way I understand how ICE works is there's administrative warrants for immigration.
I understand. yeah.
And so, but criminal warrants that are signed by a magistrate, we would be required.
Oh,
So a criminal warrant. So
all right, okay, but I
I've-
suppose I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I suppose that although they have the route of going administrative warrants, which apparently they're signing like, like candy. If a magistrate could issue a warrant for a violation of immigration law, I don't think that it's a violation of law and a magistrate issues a warrant. So if you had a criminal and issued by a that's your distinction. You won't honor the administrative, but you would hold a person on a federal warrant magistrate or federal judge.
in reality, how this works, because we're all well aware of the sanctuary state laws. We're in 29 years of law enforcement, I have not worked with ICE to go and deal with any immigration issue. And I remember a more recent one where a body of HSI was out looking for a person on drug warrants, and it became so scrutinized through command here before we would even get involved to just confirm it had nothing to do with immigration. And so the way it's practically done is we have checks and balances throughout the command and through the agency. We don't engage with immigration issues.
But to answer your question, I believe that a federal magistrate could issue an immigration warrant. And in that case, I'm understanding that if they're if that individual's in the custody of EPD, that would be an instance when they would hold the person.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lyman. Chief Berg, I can guess where the majority of our public commenters are going to lean when they bring their feedback to us. I want to hear a little bit about the other side. I've seen several comments on social media about EPD not helping the feds. And so in that case, then how could we possibly expect the feds to help us if we were to require their assistance?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't have the press release. I think we discussed that we did not help immigration. We do work with the feds regularly on a variety of different cases, whether it's internet crimes against children, financial crimes, you name it. There's a variety of different federal agencies that we work with regularly. In fact, I was just talking with somebody from the FBI yesterday. And we work with Federal Protective Services regarding the building and this and what's going on there and stuff, because there's a lot of times when there's nobody in that building that we're required to respond because it's in our jurisdiction. So it is not that we won't cooperate with federal agencies. We won't cooperate with immigration for immigration purposes.
That's a great clarification. Thank you for that. Vice Chair Folks.
Section 305.3. Is there a B or is it just a?
Don't fight it out.
Yeah.
It does move directly from sub item A to sub item C.
Oh, we need to correct that. This was developed before I got here. That's I don't get to say that for very much longer. No.
Councilor Yates.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify, I think your question earlier, Jensina, about when it is directly related to the crime is actually answered in 305.2B, where it says, for example, human trafficking, hate crime, etc. So.
Thank you. I have to say, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that though, because I still don't know how the immigration status would relate to the crime. To the investigation, I don't know. That one is eluding me. I think what my question is, if a person is involved with human trafficking or a hate crime, what difference does it make what their immigration status is?
I think the hate crime is because they're an immigrant. Because they're undocumented.
Oh, are you thinking in terms of the victim?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what
see.
I
It's
thought it
rather
meant.
than the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That
Yeah.
statement, it starts with the victim's immigration
Yeah.
status.
Okay.
That section.
Do you usually ask for victim immigration status?
Not regularly, no. I've never asked for it, so in my
Yeah.
time.
I think it would be probably very rare,
Very
but
rare.
if someone might identify, I think I received, was a victim of this hate crime because
I see.
of I would assume that's why that example is in there.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Any further comments, Captain Burke? Chief Burke, Captain Chief?
No concern.
All right. Since we do have the question of sub item A and to moving to sub item C, I actually moved to table this discussion as well until September so that we can get clarification on that and make sure we're not missing anything in this policy. And also to ensure that the public has time to give us their feedback on this policy. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rady and Commissioner Folks. All in favor of tabling policy review for policy 305, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed, please say nay. And are there any abstentions? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. And we are going into closing comments. I will make a motion to move public comment before closing comments.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Rady. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? No opposition, any abstentions? And no abstentions. Vice Chair, how many do we have in the room we have 14 in the room. And for those online who would like to speak, please raise your hand so we can get a count of how many would like to speak this evening. So at least 3 online, plus 14 in the room. That gives us 17. It is currently 7:17. I am going to say that we have 2 minutes each for each public commenter. As we call your name, if you are in the room, I would love you to come up and take the seat between myself and Chief Burke and provide your statement for 2 minutes. Holly Matthews will be keeping track of the time for us to ensure that we stay within that 2-minute time frame. As chair, I have the discretion to extend that if you say something really interesting, but I probably will cut you off at the 2-minute mark. And anything else I need to cover before we go into public comment? Holly, Sean, am I missing anything? I want to make sure we have.
We might have to move the meeting to go a little bit longer to match the agenda, but hopefully we'll get through all the comments. Okay.
Before we go into public comment, I move to extend the meeting time as needed to accommodate the volume of public comment this evening.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay.
Just because as needed is too.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyman. Thank you. Maybe I should put in a friendly amendment that with the expectation that each public commenter will be limited to 2 minutes. Okay. And then any abstentions? And I see no abstentions. All right, now we will move to public comment. I am so impressed by the number of people in the room. This is the very first time I've ever seen this amount of people. Clearly, these are very, very important topics that really resonate, and I am very excited for this. All right, so beginning, we have Annie Perkins. Annie, please come have a seat with us and share 2 minutes of your feedback. Right next to me, please. And the reason we decided to have people here is so that we can make sure the camera catches and for recording. So please share with us your feedback.
Well, my name is Annie. I wanted to say that I respect everybody's time here today, so I'm going to keep it as brief as I can. I do appreciate letting me speak today. I wanted to speak about the flock cameras that are being installed around the city. They're being labeled as license plate readers, but they're much more than that. They are AI powered surveillance cameras that are powered by AI, and that seems to be conveniently missed by everyone at the table. They have been used to identify faces, some of which were just trying to seek medical care. I am disgusted by the secrecy of this decision. These cameras have already been installed, and I am just now hearing about it. I've been in media work since I was a teenager. I'm 27 now. I've been to college to study these kinds of things, to study photography and video work. I'm aware that on a public street, if you can see it, you can shoot it. But just because it's legal doesn't mean it's always okay. Installing these cameras on the streets is a blatant violation of privacy for a lot of people in our community. And if photographers can understand the ethics of photographing someone in public without their consent to use for whatever they deem fit, then so should our officials. I want to reiterate to the taxpayers that many of our officials are keeping this as quiet as they can, calling these cameras license plate readers because they know that you'll be upset about the details that these cameras can do. They know it's wrong, and they're going to do it anyway. Surveillance of this magnitude has been done in other states, it's been done in other countries, and it has always led to mishandling. This power of mass surveillance in our city will be abused. It will be used to target immigrants, minorities, women seeking medical care, and the working class, and it will be done using your tax dollars that you work your asses off for.
All right, your time is up. Thank you so much.
Thank
Next, we have Sarah Jones.
Okay, I had to change it a little bit. First, I'd like to respond to some of the pro-flock comments over here. Not all of us carry a smartphone around with us 24/7, especially in a day and age when we have a federal administration that so clearly chooses to disregard protected First Amendment speech on a regular basis, especially when it comes to Palestine advocates and the like. Second of all,
Facebook and Instagram and Google don't automatically send your location data to police departments. If they did, a lot less people would be carrying them around with them. Third of all, a smartphone is a type of surveillance that you can opt out of and consent to. This is a type of surveillance that can neither be opted out of nor consented to. So with that, I'd like to continue. I represent local residents who are appalled at EPD's willingness to give up our privacy and data to the private company Flock. The department has done this without our consent or proper notification. I have a friend who lives right next to a camera that recently went up. It's unmarked and no one in their neighborhood was informed about what it was or what data it captures before it was installed. So in a perfect world, this expansion of mass surveillance would entail responsible and privacy respecting use of its data, only accessible by subpoena. In a perfect world. We are not in a perfect world. What has actually happened is that these Flock cameras have allowed the use of personal data for illegal and unauthorized purposes. For example, when a Texas police department searched data from 83,000 Flock cameras, including those outside of their own jurisdiction, to track down a woman suspected of getting an abortion. They used data from Flock cameras in states where abortion access is protected by law. In 2023, a months-long Electronic Frontier Foundation investigation involving hundreds of
All right,
public
your
records
time is up.
requests.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much, Sarah.
Go.
Holly, will you please give us the 20-second warning as well? Thank you. Athena, it's Athena's turn.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Not that I'm playing favorites, but hi, Athena.
So basically, what I think needs to happen is that you guys need to have the power to make policy actually, and not just be making a recommendation, because you guys are the people that are gonna be getting all this.
Ooh,
And not the
things.
police department, right? So like, and you know, to me, it's like, what if the city council gave the city manager a recommendation and then the city manager like made all the laws? I don't know, it's kind of weird. That's kind of how I see this. I see like you are a staff member and these people are like the volunteers that come, like are appointed by city council, and they're more like the public and like hearing from the public directly like this. So that to me makes it more like that's the decision making. So like earlier, actually, you said this is this body oversees policy, but like not really. It gives recommendations, which is so it was kind of inaccurate. And someone over here earlier, I think it was you, said, like we don't adopt, like you said, we adopt, move to adopt the policy, and someone said like, we don't adopt policies. And I think that it's so common to think that you do that because you spend so much time, like that's the thing you're doing, is you're basically writing policies already. Like you should have that power. So I think you should go tell city council, and you guys, first of all, you should tell city council, and you guys who are on city council should be like, hey, maybe we should change the city's code at the beginning. The part that talks about all the commissions and stuff and boards and committees, to just make it so that this is the body that makes the policy in the first place. Okay. Now you're good.
All right.
I'll
then.
let the other people.
I would have
About
given
the
you the
policy
rest
that you
of your
should
20.
60 to 90 seconds, or is it 2 minutes?
I'm just giving her
The last two have not been, so I just.
Okay.
Don't wait.
All right, thank you, Athena.
Oh, wait,
You said no. So we are giving people 2 minutes and we will provide a 20-second warning. I have Pete Goldlust.
So we can finish then.
If you didn't take the 2 minutes, I would believe we did. Did we not have the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I thought we had 2 minutes, but go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
Go back, go back.
Okay, all right, I apologize.
In 2023, a months-long Electronic Frontier Foundation investigation involving hundreds of public records requests found that California police departments were sharing records containing detailed driving profiles of local residents with out-of-state agencies, despite state laws explicitly prohibiting this. This means that even in so-called safe states, your data might end up helping law enforcement in Texas or Idaho prosecute you or your doctor. Because we know there's been irresponsible privacy-breaching misuse of this technology to illegally track and harm individuals, we have to operate under the assumption that this misuse will continue. We cannot trust Flock, the private company, to handle our data in a way that's consistent with our state and local laws, including our sanctuary laws. How this technology could be ethically used in theory is not the same as how it is actually being used by bad actors in our own government currently. The marginal benefit to public safety that it may provide is not worth the devastating damage it is already doing to our own jurisdictional sovereignty and our basic expectations of privacy.
I don't have a whole lot else to say, but I did want to touch on the fact that, we pay your guys' salaries. And I know that you guys want to keep people not fearing police officers. These flock cameras are not a good way to do that. They're just not. You're gonna scare the crap out of everybody around, and they're not gonna want anything to do with police, like, ever again. So if you're really worried about making people not fear police, then maybe working with a privatized company like Flock is a good idea. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. All right, Pete Goldlust, please come to the table. Did I say your name right?
Yes. So I want to say, to piggyback on that last comment, about creating trust. I'm a father, educator, a small business owner in Eugene. I'm not comfortable coming here for this meeting. It really is an obstacle. I can imagine how many people are not here tonight because this is not the place for this meeting to happen. It is a strong tactic. It's not right. Back to the cameras. This is not the time for this community to invest in new gizmos to surveil us and to implement new systems to seamlessly communicate with police in Alabama and Texas and Mississippi. I know there's supposedly guardrails in place. Not there. There's all kinds of ways for these to slip through. It's like we've created, you've put in place a system that makes this communication seamless, and then depending on guardrails to stop that communication from taking place. I mean, it beggars the imagination to think that those guardrails can hold. Again, your question, Commissioner Rady, about what's the principle. The principle is exactly that we have a choice to carry a smartphone, to give our information away to private companies as we see fit or not. This is the government. I don't have that choice. And it's not just collecting the license number of the person that's speeding through and causing a safety issue. It's everybody else is having their information taken. That cop that's sitting there on the side of the road may be looking, but they're not noting every single one. They are noting every single license plate through this AI camera. And it is not just a license plate capturer. It is an AI camera. There's all kinds of ways for this information to get loose. And of course it will. All this information always gets loose. Nobody can give us reassurances that this information is safe. Certainly not a private company.
All right, thank you, Pete. Sorry, since I said he had 20 seconds, I figured I'd give him the 20. Bailey Gilmore,
You mind if I?
please come over here. Thank you. Since we're on public record, we want to ensure that the camera and the minutes quarter are able to see, hear and see.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Hello, my name is Bailey Gilmore. Community initiated testimony is distinct from engagement in public hearings in advance of implementing a sweeping mass surveillance scheme. Until the already installed cameras were reported in the news, not even the police commission knew they were being considered. And in fact, EPD intentionally withheld that information in a strategic move to get momentum on the side of the surveillance project, despite securing funds for the project in July of 2024 and applying for them prior to that. No effort to convene stakeholders was made, nor has been made. No public hearing was held, and no community input was solicited even after the contract was signed and surveillance began. Surveilling the total population of Eugene without our knowledge, let alone consent, is an extraordinary act. Certainly, it demonstrates that EPD is uninterested in building trust between the community and the police. When this topic came up at the last commission meeting, it was unclear who was in the know. but I felt educated about the purpose of this commission by your response, which was hardly any complaint about being intentionally kept in the dark about an extraordinarily sweeping surveillance tool that affects everyone in Eugene, lifelong residents and visitors alike. And as far as I know, since learning of the system, you have not taken any action to engage the public on this mass surveillance scheme, nor to even inform the public. I have done extensive research on this surveillance system, and I feel eager to meet with commissioners to provide additional important information. For now, I'll share a few key points. One, federal agencies can make and have made subpoenas to private companies that those companies are not allowed to disclose. Two, in March, ICE added 7,000 people to the NCIC hot list for deportation orders. The system also allows users to write anything in the justification field. It is easy to make it unclear to EPD that a data request is tied to an immigration enforcement. Three, Commissioner Rady, I briefly want to, thank you. I briefly want to respond. License plates are to prove that the car is licensed to operate on the road. That's what a license plate is for. And so this vast surveillance system violates the right to privacy. The data has been misused and shared without oversight. False matches lead to dangerous mistakes, and it should be rejected by our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brady. Anna?
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna. I'm an organizer with the Trans Alliance of Lane County. I'm also with Pride and the Rainbow Guard. I'm going to address these comments specifically to Captain Burke because I sat next to you at a Human Rights Commission panel in December 12/14, and we shared that table and talked about how EPD was going to be building a culture of community collaboration and how we were going to work with other members of the marginalized communities that have been historically excluded from EPD processes. I came away from that tentatively very happy with where things might go. And I was horrified to see that EPD had implemented an Orwellian panopticon in the age of Donald Trump in 2025 America without any consultation with the people that you sat next to me and told me that you wanted to consult. And that's really upsetting to me. I think we as a city deserve better. From a policy standpoint, this policy is also egregious. Captain Burke and Chief Skinner at the previous meeting continue to cite Amber Alerts, vehicular theft. They talk about murders. The policy doesn't say that. The policy says this may be used for routine patrol investigations. It doesn't say that you need probable cause. It doesn't say you need reasonable suspicion. It includes a low evidentiary bar of nothing. If you're on patrol, you can use this. To your comment, Mr. Rady, Commissioner Rady, about the police are not looking for you unless for some specified reason. I am a gender affirming care provider. I am a trans woman. I write letters of gender affirming care for young people. When this administration comes for me and gives a specific federal warrant to come for me, this system can be used to do that. We should not have this system here in Eugene. And at a very, very minimum, this needs to be rolled back to the beginning to involve the community. So the community that you represent and that you said you would draw on can be at the table to make these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryder Hales.
Hello, thank you for your time tonight and for your thoughtful discussion. And thank you for tabling both items, hopefully as a way to ensure meaningful public input and to get as much as possible. Hopefully that's the reason for the tabling. But the problem is that we as the community just don't trust the police. We're concerned about actions and not about like good sounding words and like thoughtful discourse within a commissioners meeting. I don't have that much more to share than others. Many folks here can eloquently speak on the surveillance issues with flock cameras, the fact that EPD, despite its claims of upholding Sanctuary Promise Act, is just continuing to be complicit in actions by ICE, other federal agencies. There's not really much more I can say. We just don't trust the police, and we want to see actions and not words. We want to see the public be able to share their thoughts before our massive loads of taxpayer dollars are being used to fund flock cameras. We want to see that the police are actively trying to protect our immigrant neighbors and actually standing up to ICE, not crowding around people demonstrating their right to assemble, and certainly not devoting a massive load of vehicles to drive through a peaceful assembly at Wayne Morse Plaza just this past Tuesday, during a time when detentions weren't actually even happening. I did not make either of those actions this past Tuesday or the Tuesday before. But I'm well aware that EPD's response was unsurprisingly unsatisfactory amongst the many passionate people within this crowd. So once again, thank you for tabling, I presume, to gather as much public input as possible and caring about us as a community. Let's see it put into action with good policing that actually protects the people, which it doesn't do right now.
Gregor, I do feel comfortable saying on behalf of the police commission that both items were tabled tonight to allow for public input. So thank you very, very much for calling that out. Jacob Griffin.
You do me a favor and not tell me the 22nd.
Okay.
Just throws me off. Hi, my name's Jacob Griffin. I belong to Trans Alliance of Lane County. I'm a Jewish trans man living here in Eugene. And I can't tell you how frightened I am of what I've heard tonight. Let me give you an example. First of all, we're in rising fascism. Is there anyone at this table who does not believe that? That our federal government is rising fascism and is not paying attention to the guardrails? You are our local guardrail and you are bending. Let me give you a glimpse into my thoughts on this. I, every day, in order to maintain the body that keeps me alive, take testosterone, a Schedule III drug. I am required by the federal government to register as a user of that drug. All they have to do is match me up with this. Should they intrude over the barriers of this private company that we have no control over, and they know who I am. And since the first day of this administration, they have made destroying trans people a goal. Locating trans people, putting cameras on the street so visibly trans people are apparent. And you're on the Human Rights Commission? I am just appalled by this entire event. Not one of you spoke up and said this is a really bad idea in a time of fascism. My God, what are you doing? You're going to get some of us killed. I watched people walk into the federal building this week, not knowing if they would come out again, like they were playing Russian roulette with people's lives, not knowing if they're going to take them to Tacoma and send them to Sudan. And you are adding to the information pile. I don't care how fucking much information they have. Don't give them more. And I don't care how honest EPD is. There is no part of our federal government that cares about that. Please don't.
Thank you, Jacob. Hi, Fireside.
Oh, that.
Good luck.
Thanks. I'm gonna address our acting chief primarily here, forgive me. My name's Kai, I'm a former 911 dispatcher. I'm pretty familiar with law enforcement searches and the databases that you've got access to. I do not expect you to be a cybersecurity expert. I think that's not in your purview. This company came to you and offered you cybersecurity experts to talk to. I have two requests for you. The first is that please consult some independent cybersecurity experts. do not take Flock Safety's word for how things like storage of footage work. For example, you were told that you own the data, and I'm not sure that it was properly explained to you what that means. They say the data is encrypted, but there are a lot of different kinds of encryption. And again, I don't expect you to be intimately familiar with those, but find an independent person who is, and please consult with them. My second ask is for an increase in transparency, and it sounds like you are working on that. The Lexington Police Department publishes the location of all of their cameras. They publish statistics, they publish their audits. That might be a good place to start. You might also consider going back to the transparency page for EPD that is published on Flock's website and relist the agencies that you are sharing with. I understand that has changed recently, and that does sound like a positive change, but now it's really unclear to us who is actually being shared with. Please publish your CSV as others do, like Citra Sites. And perhaps show us what a search or alert looks like, because I think we are imagining the worst. And a lot of us do not, well, a lot of people don't understand what a database search looks like. Thank you.
Sheldon? Welcome.
Evening. I am in fact a cybersecurity expert. Yeah, I came here with the whole thing prepared, and then over the course of the meeting, I heard some surprisingly insufficient consideration of policy 1204 and Flock, and now I've had to rewrite everything. 2 minutes is not enough time to cover everything that is that was stated that was technically wrong or wrong in principle. Flock, first off, is not just an ALPR system. So it is a powerful search engine for surveillance with lots of data sharing built right into it. It is disingenuous to write a general purpose ALPR policy and then apply it to Flock. They really are two different things. Policy 1204 may be sufficient for some ALPR systems, but it is not sufficient for Flock. Commissioner Shivers, is it?
Yes.
Regarding alerts, I think somebody else already made this point, but ICE added 7,000 persons to NCIC. We just learned for immigration related reasons. So those alerts would then be surfaced by Flock on any of the devices that it offers. By the by, in terms of security and everything else, Flock offers mobile apps. I would just like people to consider the reality of people walking around with the system on mobile devices and the security implications of that. Commissioner Rady, regarding data collected, it's not just license plates. I don't have enough time here, but I suggest you contact us after the meeting so we can get you up to speed.
20 seconds, Rob.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyman, I can't imagine you're unaware of national security letters, but there are any number of mechanisms by which the federal government can demand data from third parties like Flock. Regarding technical matters, you got bad advice from your county IT, and my time is up, but the lack of end-to-end encryption and the fact that EPD doesn't own the encryption keys for this data means the system is not safe from access outside of your control.
Thank you, Rob. Glenn?
So I think that just fundamentally having 30 days worth of my locations is wrong for somebody to have. There's devices that police use called stingrays, right? And they track phones. They can ping and, say which phone is theirs. But the thing is that you need a warrant or a really good probable cause to use it. And that's only like within a half-mile radius of where someone is. So if there needs to be a warrant to get my cell phone information, right? Then why is it okay to just store my license plate where I drove for the past 30 days? I think that we really just need to realize that everybody in this room they could plug in your license plate in the parking lot and they could just know everywhere that you lived for the last 30 days. We have no law or no, like, there's no accountability system intact to know, like, we're being told that it's not being used on a pinky swear in a contract with what, a private company. I think that that's just gross. I think that, you know, if there's just so many ways that this could be abused, and I think that it's naive to think that it's not going to, at some point, be used for something maybe not intended, but, you know, it's just, I really don't like it. I think that the reality is that if EPD maybe got a picture of a man with a license plate, maybe that person had been arrested on, you know, some crime beforehand, but he was in a parking lot of a house with a couple people. What's to stop them from putting in the license plate of the people that he was with to track them? And it could just be a family member, right? Like, a lot of us have, unfortunately, you know, family members that suffer from drug addiction and other things. So if they get, you know, if there's a picture given with them and other vehicles, what's to stop them from searching every other vehicle that's in that picture? There's no like stop, you know. Right now they're like, they say that there's a contract in place and there's policy, but at the same time, like, there's no legal mechanism, right? Like, there's no like real accountability or the need for like a judge to maybe look it over, you know. It's just free. They can just
Your
plug it
time is
in
up,
and be
Glenn.
done.
Thank you. Manuel Mejia Gonzalez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manuel. I really didn't like sitting through the first part. I'm sorry if I upset some of y'all. I think that you should all listen to what I think is a very well-informed public, certainly a lot more informed that your conversation was regarding this issue. And that is appalling and shameful to me. And I don't know if it is to you, but I think that you'll have a duty to be informed about these type of decisions, and it just doesn't seem like there's any due diligence in the transparency aspect. Unfortunately, I don't seem to recognize any of y'all, and I've been living here in a while, and I, you know, serve folks here. I heard a bit about you, John, and I'm really appalled that you're not raising flags for this because you sit on the Human Rights Commission, right? I think that's what I heard. I wanna, just maybe use my time for you to take a moment to reflect about the reasons that you're here. If there's any ulterior agendas, they're not clear to me. This is not about public safety. Let me tell you that. There's a lot of crises in Oregon. There's a lot of public safety issues in Oregon. There's a lot of, different lack of resources. And what I hear about in my community is that the EPD chases people for like giving burritos out at the parks or choose to harass folks that look like me. So don't
20 seconds.
be surprised if I have comments in the meantime that you're talking, because it's just not an informed opinion, or at least not one that reflects my values. I invite you to think about yours. Thank you.
Natalie Renshaw. Did I say that right?
You did, okay. My name is Naftali. I am a faith leader that works with UMC. I'm saying that because I don't actually recognize any faith leaders in the room right now. I work with and facilitate space for many different targeted communities, including members of various BIPOC communities and 2S LGBTQI plus communities in the area. And I'm on Eugene Pride Coordinating Committee and Rainbow Guard. What I know from my work is that we move at the speed of trust of the communities that we work with. And what I'm hearing today around the room and that I know from the communities that I work with every single day and the relationships that I've built, is that we don't have a lot of trust in this room right now. We're making decisions regarding surveillance in a very dangerous time, and it's not safe for a lot of the people in this room to be surveilled constantly. It's also important to recognize not only do we have immigrants who have lived in our community for many years, we have immigrants that are moving into our state, and specifically Eugene, because we have been heralded as a safe place, as a sanctuary place. And this is not sanctuary. When you have feared for your life, literally from your family, and you make it to a place that you think is safe, and then you find out that you're under a camera every time you drive, that's not safe. And if we are looking at being transparent community, then we need to work on that. And I guess part of that I encourage the EPD to do in that pursuit is be honest when things do happen. Mistakes are made. There are nuances. What happens when the EPD does support ICE inadvertently? Are we honest about that? And when we write about that in the press, we don't take back statements without actually being honest with the public that we've done that.
Thank you, Nora. For the folks online, I see 3 hands up. If there are any others online who wish to speak for public comment, I'll get to you, Cameron, I promise. If please raise your hand and we will have Holly, our staff member, promote you to a panelist. We will ask you to remain on mute until I call you. I call your name for you to be able to speak, but I would like to move these forward to panelists now so that they will be able to speak when the time approaches. We are having some issues with audio in the room that we are trying to accommodate right now, so bear with us. We will certainly let you know if we can't hear you. Finishing up public comment in the room, Cameron. I'm gonna forget you. Nobody could forget you.
Right? My name is Cameron Stringfield. I have she, her pronouns, and I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. A lot tonight has been said about flock, so I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about the demonstrations recently and directing this to our acting chief. These last 2 weeks, our community members have been mobilizing to oppose the unconstitutional and inhumane activity of ICE here in Eugene at the old federal building. We have been exercising our First Amendment rights to speak out against the injustices happening there, and there has been virtually zero violence. Nobody has been harmed by our demonstrations, but ICE has certainly been harming immigrants and their families. So why was EPD so present and seemingly involved with ICE during these last 2 demonstrations? We counted 12 drive-bys by EPD this last Tuesday. And last week, we watched as EPD staged in the Lane County parking lot to the west of the federal building and did nothing as an ICE vehicle drove through people at the gate. We saw that vehicle go over to where EPD was immediately afterwards and talked with you. Then it went to transfer detainees. Then less than 3 hours after that demonstration, your department rushed out a statement with misinformation about that vehicle and seemed to discredit protesters. You later quietly edited to remove the misinformation, but the question remains, why did you spread that misinformation in the first place? Lastly, what are EPD's policies on crowd control for ICE? And how does your surveillance and presence at these demonstrations relate to that? And while I have the time as well, thinking about the flock cameras, this is not the only part of our mass surveillance system here. There's the Drones as First Responders program. There's the Guardian Towers. There's the Stingray system. There's all of these mechanisms already out there to surveil us. Why do we need another one? And why is there no public comment on it? This is shameful, and it makes us afraid in this city. I'm a trans woman. I share the same fears as others. Thank you.
Online, I have hands up, and are we able to move them to panelists now, Holly, so that they are able to speak?
One, but they left.
Okay. Jeff Gordon, you have been promoted to panelist and. Oh, do you have? He's not showing on my. Yes.
Okay,
And
I'm good to go.
followed by Jetty Eddy.
Can you hear me?
Let's do a sound check. We cannot hear you yet,
Testing.
Jeff. We will
Okay,
figure
test,
it out
test.
though.
Check. Testing,
If we
testing.
have to, we will have you call and talk on somebody's speakerphone.
Okay.
There we go.
You hear me?
Yes, we sure can. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Let me know when to start.
Yes, please do.
Okay. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Gordon. I live and work as a clinical psychologist in the city of Eugene. Regarding the police presence on July 1st, I believe it was. So Acting Chief Burke said the employees of Federal Protective Services work for Homeland Security and wear HSI identification. This is who the EPD established communication with regarding policing of the building while an immigration enforcement action was occurring in the building. DHS is included as an immigration enforcement agency per Oregon Revised Statute 180.805. Quote, Federal Immigration Authority means the United States Department of Homeland Security, the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, the United States Customs and Border Protection or a successor agency, any other federal immigration agency or official, or any other entity to which a federal immigration agency delegates or assigns the authority to detect, investigate, or enforce violations of immigration law. So just review, that includes DHS and ICE. Furthermore, on March 13th, 2017, the Eugene City Council unanimously passed the Protection for Individuals Ordinance, Council Ordinance number 20579. This ordinance provides certain protections for all Eugene residents, including immigrants. This action puts provisions of an existing state law into city code preventing the use of city resources, monies, equipment, or personnel, to detect or apprehend individuals whose only violation of the law is that they are present in the United States in violation of federal immigration laws. While modeled after the state law, this Eugene City Ordinance is not dependent on the state law existing. That was a full quote. If the Eugene Police Department has communications with Homeland Security agents during an immigration enforcement action at the same building, thus assisting several apprehensions by ICE, then the relevant revised statutes were violated and Council Ordinance number 20579 was violated. Given these violations by the EPD, which betrayed the public trust, I'm asking if Police Chief Skinner is willing to offer his resignation and apology to the people of Eugene. Because he's not present, I'm asking the acting chief if he will pass on this question to Chief Skinner for his public response. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. Next, we have Jetty Eddy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, can I start right now?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so I was there on July 1st outside of the old federal building. I was standing pretty close to where this car was driving out of the gates. It was clearly some sort of a government car. I'd like to know whose car that was, whether it was ICE, DHS, EPD, or somebody else. That car, when it came out, it was literally running somebody with a walker wheel over, and it kept going forward, and people asked it to stop. Like, I don't know how EPD is not speaking about this. We had police officers that were walking out of their car watching this, saying, hey, let's play nice now. I think that's a shame, and I want answers. Why did they worry about property destruction or whatever and not about human lives? That's so weird to me. As a person, I'm gonna go on to my next thing. As a person who is constantly being targeted and ticketed and followed by EPD officers, I think the flock cameras are disgusting. I think they're terrifying. And I think, like, there needs to be some sort of, like, if you guys are gonna have them, you need to have monitors on them. Like, how are people not going to misuse these? Like, when the police officers that constantly follow me around for doing homeless outreach can track my car wherever I'm at and continue to criminalize me, like, who's gonna hold them accountable? This is so crazy to me. Like, y'all are out of control. I'm done.
Is your comment finished? Thank you,
Yeah.
Jetty Eddy. Next, we have Bob. And Bob will be followed by Sean Townsend. It looks like Bob's hand may have gone down. Sean Townsend, we will promote you to that. Bob's hand just went back up.
All right.
There you are.
Am I here?
Hey.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my name is Bob Moland. I am also an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Much has already been said about the flock camera issue that I agree with. So I won't get too far into that. But I would like to push back on some of the flawed logic and a couple of the issues that have been discussed today. Chiefly that the police exist to prevent crime, when in reality, police forces respond to crime and detain potential suspects in addition to other things. But what actually prevents crime are well-funded social services and that ensure that the basic needs of people get met. And when it comes to the funding of the flock cameras, it was said that this is going to be done through a grant, but it's as these things continue, you know, the whatever criminal activity is picked up on these cameras will simply be used as like future you know, a need for future money, you know, in the budget that goes to EPD, because they'll detect a bunch of things and they'll say, well, look at all the crime that's, you know, now occurring that we need more money to, you know, quote unquote, prevent. So I would, you know, say that there's kind of a flaw there as well. I would also just like to also strongly reject the surveillance of peaceful protests. I've been a part of many protests since January of this year. And at every single one, there has been drone surveillance. There has been multiple EPD drive-bys. It really feels like the EPD does not have a neutral or even encouraging aspect to people demonstrating their free speech, but rather are there to observe and intimidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Sean Townsend.
All right. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Yes, we
I
can.
can't figure out the damn camera thing.
No problem.
Yeah. My name's Sean Townsend. I'm the vice president of APWU Local 679 here in Eugene. I want to make some comments on specifically the policy that is laid out inside of Resolution 5174, as well as ordinance number 20579, subsection 2.497. I know you guys kind of touched on some of this, but I want to make an argument based on it. So one could argue that the flock cameras violate sections G and section H of Resolution 5174's findings. The way they're being used is intimidating. The specific language that I would argue that is at task here, we strongly condemn bias, intimidation, harassment, and other acts that are based on age, faith, race, national origin, immigration status, gender identity, ability, ethnicity, housing status, or sexual orientation. Like it violates a lot of those, plain and simple. Section H, we are committed to ensuring that all members of our community are free from acts that are rooted in fear, ignorance, prejudice, and hate. Okay. I would argue that fear and prejudice are part of the formula here if they're misused. Okay. The flock cameras also might violate ordinance number 20579, subsection 2.497, information not to be collected or maintained. Subsection 1, no city law enforcement personnel may collect or maintain information about the political, religious, or social views, associations, or activities of any individual, group, association, organization, corporation, business, or partnership unless such information directly relates to an investigation of criminal activities and therefore are reasonable grounds to suspect the subject of the information is or may be involved in criminal conduct. You're collecting information regardless of whether there's an active investigation or not. 2, no non-law enforcement personnel working for the city may collect or maintain information about the political, religious, or social.
Make one more circulation around the room. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for public comment that has not signed up yet? Please come to the table and state your name for us, please.
My name is Janet Whitlow. I am not as well researched on all of what has been published or that so many wonderful people have spoken about. So I'm coming at this new, and so I apologize if I'm not addressing anything or that you already addressed, but in addition to the things about the trans community and ICE and the data collection and the security, which I agree with our previous people who spoke. I was wondering, has it been addressed or could it be addressed if you did bring this for future public comment? Are you laying the infrastructure for something that would potentially restrict movement in the future with social credit scores or with carbon footprint that is outside of your current scope? What are you laying the foundations for here with the collection of data outside of the license plates, which this infrastructure could very easily collect? So if you do have future public comment, which a lot of people have requested, could you please address that in addition to all the other wonderful questions that have been asked? Thank you.
Would you like to make public comment? Please come to the table.
Hi, my name is Brian. I just wanted just a simple quote. Anybody can Google, even though we don't want to really use Google right now because the oligarchs, the people in charge, the people, the owners of this country, the world, the people that have all the money, the people who own Google are on the board. You can Google anything, right? So it's just a Benjamin Franklin quote. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. I mean, where the hell are we at right now? You look at the country. Look at Portland. They're knocking people out and bringing them into the ICE facilities. I came to this state from a different state, from a more diverse state. Well, had its own bad history, but I don't see enough dark people, and it upsets me. And I wish there was more dark people because I feel more comfortable around them. And are they going to come here anymore if you guys deny them the ability to live free in a sanctuary city that we were promised to have? I'm just so upset with the whole board, especially John was mentioned before. Look at your role in your job and what you should be doing. This is not cool. I have to go. I've been wanting to volunteer, and now I have to go. I would really need to volunteer at some of the 4J schools because they need brown people to talk to the kids and give them encouragement in life. And they're scared. They're scared of their moms and their dads being kidnapped and maybe disappeared. There's people dying. Why are they dying in facilities? Alligator fucking Auschwitz? Are you fucking kidding me?
Thank you very much, Brian. Any other public comment this evening? Please come join us. And later we will have you fill out the blue sheet, but for now, please tell us your name and give us your comment.
My name is Matthew Willow. And I'd like to address this from, again, I'm coming to this also at a very late date. I was physically far away and unable to attend for earlier things, so I might be missing information. However, I'd like to look at, or have you look at the costs of these things, the installation, the maintenance, the the monitoring, all of that stuff? And would that cost be better used in hiring extra police officers on the ground that can think for themselves and move things along? And also, I would like to point out that in America, we think of ourselves as free. We think of this as a free country, but these are what we're discussing here. This is the precursor to being able to monitor everyone everywhere all the time. It would be an easy upgrade to convert this to facial recognition, which could be tied to the real ID. And this is beginning to feel very like a Soviet communist state. All of these things that we think of are un-American as far as monitoring, being able to monitor everyone everywhere. And we are at a point where I believe we need to be very, very brave. Instead of being fearful and installing these things, I think we need to be brave enough to avoid installing these things and find other ways and other methods to address what is probably a very, very small percentage of the population of Eugene and Springfield in comparison to the amount of people who would be tracked constantly. So I think I would just like to add that so that you guys can put that into your decision-making process, please.
Thank you, Matthew. Please
Thank
take
you.
that and fill it out with your. Online, we have another hand from Heather Gardner Madras.
Hello. Yes, this is Heather Gardner Madras. I wasn't going to speak, but I just wanted to collect several of the points that were made tonight and connect them together. First, that stuck out to me. First of all, the transparency around the deployment of these cameras was atrocious. It does seem sneaky if you don't tell anyone, including the police commission. And during this time in our history, it looks even worse. It's a black mark against the EPD and trust broken. Secondly, several people have mentioned and have more technical knowledge than me, but I work in tech and I do understand that there are serious technical and data control vulnerabilities with this system, this private company that endanger the residents of Eugene and their privacy. Even if every member of EPD was flawless, we could still be exposed, harassed, or worse. An independent assessment sounds like a fine idea to me. It should have been done before it was deployed. And I feel like they should be taken down until all of these issues are addressed. And, the process is made more transparent. The vulnerabilities are addressed. And it was news to me. I mean, I did know about some of the surveillance systems, but the listing of surveillance systems, I feel like the EPD should have to make an argument as to why they need this additional tool to keep us safe, and what the benefit would be to us, the citizens, again, before deployment. And most importantly, we currently are being taken over by a fascist regime at the federal level. People in this state are terrified. People in this city are terrified, whether they're a citizen, an immigrant, one of a marginalized community, or, a white cis het person like myself. So, I think that needs to be taken into account what period of time we're in, and also to the commissioner that basically said, if you didn't do anything wrong, what are you worried about? You're either grossly naive or disingenuous. And I found that really insulting, honestly.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
How is this commission decided? Like the people that are on it?
That's an excellent question, and I will actually address that. Thank you for bringing that up. The police commission, members of the public can submit an application. The city of Eugene has 26 formally recognized boards and commissions, and any member of the public who lives in Eugene is welcome to submit an application to join the police commission, toxics board, any of those boards and commissions. These applications for police commission are reviewed by the mayor, who makes recommendations. Sometimes she performs interviews with the interested applicants, and she makes recommendations to city council. And then city council almost always follows the mayor's recommendation to appoint people to the police commission. We have 12 members. We have 2 liaisons from City Council, a liaison from Civilian Review Board, and a liaison from Human Rights Commission. And we currently have 2 vacancies. I don't know if the application process is still open. But apparently that has been closed by the City of Eugene. But we do have vacancies come up fairly frequently throughout the year. And I would highly recommend for anybody who is interested to keep an eye on that. Let us know if you're interested. Also, we do host public comment at every single police commission meeting. And so while we don't normally have the volume that has appeared tonight, we are deeply appreciative and definitely we welcome this. And I wanted to say one other thing that I have heard very loud and clear, that the location of our meetings is a barrier to attendance. I have heard that from former police commissioners as well. And it has long been a goal of mine to move us out of this area and possibly into City Hall. And so now all of you lending your voices to that has moved that up on my priority list. So thank you for doing that.
I move to go into commissioner comments. I'm sorry, like, it's not a conversation.
I just wanted to ask like Jack.
It's not a question and answer session.
So after the meeting, you're welcome to engage with the commissioners if they choose. Did you want to say anything at all this evening? In the room, we have interim police auditor Lindsay Foltz, who is here, and she has been very quietly sitting as a fly on the wall, listening to a lot of these. This is the woman whose team is reviewing all of those 50 complaints that have been lodged with the EPD. Interim Auditor Foltz, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So thank you all for coming and commenting. I've been taking notes, I've been writing down questions. You've definitely given me more questions to ask. So generally, I'm going to give you like a very short, I'm recognizing we are over time and have other commitments, but the police auditor's office is separate from the EPD. The auditor reports directly to City Council, so we're separate. We don't share a chain of command, but we do have unfettered access to records and the ability to oversee investigations under the single intake point for complaints. We're also the ones who decide how those complaints get investigated, like what pipelines they go into, and that's called classification. So for the complaints regarding the ICE protests, those complaints have come in. Everybody who's filed a complaint, it has been registered. Some of them were registered anonymously. So we've also set up an updates section on our homepage so that anybody who wants to check in on what's going on with it can easily access that, even if you didn't want to share your information with us, just so anybody who is interested can kind of follow in this case. We received the complaints. We did a preliminary review, which we typically do, and decided we wanted to make it an incident review. That means that internal affairs will start an investigation. We wanted to do a fuller investigation. We oversee those and then have access to the records. That's what's going on right now. So it's not a fast process. And I know that that can be unsatisfying, but it is thorough and it is built to be thorough and careful. So that's where that is. Again, you can watch for updates on the website. If you gave us your name and information, you'll receive opening letters and closing letters that will tell you what's going on. So there's that piece. Let me see. I'm going to refer to my notes because I get lost easily. Not in space, just in information. Yes, okay. Oh, another thing that's I found was sort of interesting. So our system wasn't necessarily designed to do all the things that it does, but that it does really well. So another thing that I have learned as I looked more carefully into this issue of whether the different agencies that can make requests that are related to immigration, part of the law and part of EPD policy is that when those requests come in, they're documented in a certain way. The mechanics of how that works means that our office also has full transparency every time one of those requests comes in and what gets done with it. So that I found that to be heartening. Again, it wasn't like something that was this intention from the beginning of the auditor's office. This wasn't an issue we had, these weren't laws we had, but that our systems are holding up to ensure that kind of transparency, which I thought is a really good thing. We also received a lot of complaints about the flock cameras. I classified that as a policy complaint. That's one of the categories that we have. And so that is currently in the pipeline as well. Again, anybody who made specific complaints about it, who gave us contact information, will receive updates about it. I think those are the main things that I had to say. So just another like brief point of clarification. So or just to quote Counselor Evans, who's not here today, but I always like it when he says it. He says that Eugene has a belts and suspenders system of civilian input and oversight over police, meaning we have a police commission who looks at policy, who is advisory to the chief on policy matters. And then we have the police auditor's office that deals with complaints and the overseeing the investigation of those complaints, and then the civilian review board who oversees our work. So we have both sort of reactive complaint-based system and a more proactive policy-based system. But we are separate, even though we kind of both do civilian oversight of police. We have different functions and different organization within the city structure. So if you're interested in the work that we do, we have a website. So it's eugene-or.gov/police auditor, or CRB if you're interested in the work of the Civilian Review Board. And yeah, thank you for giving me an opportunity to answer some of the questions.
Thank you, Interim Auditor.
No problem.
We're going to go into closing comments. I'm going to read off the order that we'll go in so you all can be prepared to speak as your term comes up, as your time comes up. It will be Folks, Rady, Espinosa Blank, Bradley, Wilgus, Yay, Lyman, Groves, Shivers, and I will close us out. Vice Chair Phillips, closing comments.
Thank each and every one of you for being here tonight and giving us a lot of really great information that I personally don't know. I'm new to the commission and there's a lot of information out there. And you citizens are amazing in coming and speaking up and letting us know. That's part of what we do, is we want to have the perspectives to help change or help promote the policy that we as Eugenians want to have, to feel safe, to feel connected, to feel as a community. So thank you all, and for being brave. Thank you for everybody coming online. You've given us a lot to think about, and I know I've seen a lot of the commissioners writing here. I need to process. I'm just like a cat, just need to let it simmer a little. But I got goosebumps. I'm just appreciative of all of you. And I thank you. Thank you all.
Commissioner Rady.
Yeah, I'll try and be brief. First of all, I want to thank the folks for coming. I really do. I understand what motivates you. I am as concerned about fascism in this country as you are. And you're absolutely right. What prevents crime are decent social conditions, not the police. As I pointed out, they just try and catch the criminals afterwards. But the question of surveillance has been kind of central to our discussion. And I have kind of a different perspective than many people I know on this board, certainly, or this commission, certainly. And that is, I have been surveilled much of my life by the federal government. The amount of data that they collected, the amount they released to me was a pile this tall, but they said that was 2/5 of it. And within the last 12 years, I believe I had a home visit from the FBI, as some stuff was messed with that there was no motivation for anyone else to do. But leave that aside. So I'm familiar with concerns about surveillance, but my perspective is a little different. I don't think, if they're interested in someone, any law, policy stands in their way. Edward Snowden made that pretty clear to us. And if you are familiar with their methods and techniques of federal surveillance, if you think you're hiding something, it's only because they're not interested or they haven't told you that. And I know that's hard to accept. We want to fight back against this kind of thing. But the fact is, excuse me, I have the floor now. Thank you. This finding license plate, to project that into a whole huge 1984 scene and the fascism of the federal government and social data scores, is a bit of a stretch, folks, because there's a difference between the federal government and the Eugene Police Department. And I strongly recommend to all of you to avoid prejudice, that is prejudgment. And you actually make it your business to find out considerably more about what goes on inside the Eugene Police Department. Their policies, their procedures, their attitudes, and their personnel. You may be in for a surprise. I recommend it highly.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioner Reedy. We are still proceeding with our meeting, and the commissioners do have the floor. Thank you very much. You've had your opportunity for public comment. I will move to Commissioner Espinosa Blank.
This has been my first meeting here.
Welcome.
Very eye-opening. So glad that I've done it, because I've been in a bubble working in a hospital as an anesthesia provider. So I've worked with this community for a long time, and I love this community. And I can see that there has been people that haven't had a voice in my bubble, and I'm really willing to listen to them. And I'm really sympathetic to a lot of what's going on here as an immigrant myself. And I really, really recommend and think that you should continue with any sort of volunteering, because for me, I've opened up a couple of volunteering doors, and I have seen some wonderful and beautiful people in this community who love the people here. And they don't look like me, and it has surprised me. And I think, well, what do you have to do about my life? You know, but they're just as outraged as I am about some of this stuff. And I really highly recommend that you continue to come to these meetings, even when things seem like they're a little bit smoother, because this is what we need to hear, and this is what people pay attention to. Come and speak, because people do want to hear it.
Thank you, Commissioner Espinosa Blank. Commissioner Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to affirm that I have heard what public comment was today, specifically related to human rights. Several of you mentioned that I had obligation to greater responsibility, and I accept that feedback. Thank you for it. I plan to stay after the meeting and to talk to any one of you that would like to talk about the work that I do in the Human Rights Commission or my liaison work here. This is my second meeting. I also feel like it's important to explain that the people here, with the exception of 2 city councilors who get a very modest amount of money, and then, or 3, and then, you know, some city employees, that the rest of us are volunteers, and we're advocates for you. The reason that I'm here, and that Jack is here, and that the other commissioners are here, it is to advocate on your behalf. There's a leader, feminist leader named Loretta Ross. And if you're not familiar with her, I really encourage you to look at some of her work. She has a new book out called Calling In. And it kind of speaks to this idea that people who are joined in a cause, they should consider the possibility that we're stronger together. And I just want to let you all know that I want to be stronger together with all of you. Please, I'm interested in talking to any of you who would like to talk after the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradley. Commissioner Wilgus, our real freshman.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll just echo people's comments, other people's comments, that I'm so appreciative of all of the public comment we heard tonight. It's got me thinking. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Councilor Ye.
Thank you, Chair. Also echo, thank you for everyone coming tonight. I think, as folks have said, there's a lot to think about in the information that we received from everyone. A lot of it not just applicable to the policy, but to like the general work that we do and other policies. Like some of this feedback could apply to other things that the police commission will be working on throughout our 2-year plan that we have set. And so I think that those things are super valuable as well, the things that we can take forward with us, through our work. And so I really appreciate everyone coming tonight.
Yes, Commissioner Lyman.
Thank you, Chair. One of the things I wanted to point out was that Commissioner Bradley earlier was asked to comment. He was asked a question specifically about what would the Human Rights Commission say? And I felt you were put in the position of being asked, you're a liaison, but you should only come as a liaison and report what your group has decided. And so I felt you were a little bit put on the spot, and I wanted people to understand that you might have been hesitant because you were being asked to express more than your personal, The other thing I want to say really quickly on this topic is we're advisory. And that means that we don't get to choose like the police and the chief and the trust that the council puts in hiring a chief. The EPD gets to choose what tools it puts in its box. Like we really don't have a say. What we do have is the ability to influence the policy surrounding the use of those tools. And we spend a lot of time on the Guardian trailers. We spent probably 8 meetings talking about the Guardian trailers and surveillance and electronic surveillance. And that's why personally, I was incredibly disappointed that we were surprised by Flock, that I read about it in the paper. And we gave the chief grief last month about that. And he apologized. He said, I'm sorry, I don't think that should have happened. Yeah, we can say whether that's sincere or not. I'll go with Commissioner Rady and say you should give your police a chance in the sense that you don't have to trust them and stuff, but you can come and listen. And when they're asked honestly, why didn't we hear about it? It was acknowledged. You should have, if that happens again, then there's a pattern. It was a surprise, and that was really, really disappointing. And but all we can do as a body here is try to influence the use of that tool that they've taken on. And if we were really opposed to it, we express our opposition to it. But the only effectiveness as a body that we can have is to influence the policy, the implementation of how they use that tool. And we've done it with tasers, we've done it with projectile things, we've done it with the drones. Like that's what we do, and we don't get to tell them you can't have Flock. We can express our personal opinions, don't have Flock, but that's not what we do. So thank you.
Councilor Groves.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm still processing what I heard tonight, and it's gonna take a while before I'm able to really comment on it, because I really want to think it through. And just small correction, City Council does not hire the police chief. City Council has 3 employees: city manager, presiding municipal court judge, police auditor. That's it. And that's not hiding behind anything. It's just a fact of how we operate. Council operates at a policy level, not hands-on operations, which actually was really hard for me to change from being hands-on operations to coming in and sitting on my hands as a council. I was the fire chief. I didn't share my work life history. I worked for our fire department for almost 37 years and had a chance to interact with EPD frequently. And, there's certainly individuals who are flawed in all walks of life, but I was always very impressed with what I saw with the professionalism and the restraint compared to some police agencies that we also work with. So just wanted to share that piece. Thank you.
Commissioner Shivers, you're going out in a blaze of glory tonight.
Yeah, the only time I've seen a meeting that had as many people was when George Floyd was murdered. I saw a huge upswelling of interest, of attention, of energy put in. And then slowly I saw that energy trickle away. And it's not anybody's fault. The system is designed in ways to prevent working people and everybody who's marginalized. It's designed to marginalize people, whether it's intention or a conspiracy of convenience, still how the system works. And I want to acknowledge all of your anger. I will stick around after this meeting Before I was on the police commission, during my time on the police commission, I was a political organizer with the Young Socialists, with Occupy Wall Street, with Indivisible Eugene. No group is perfect, but I'll stick around after if you have any questions about how to maximize the impact you have. I don't want to take up meeting time here, but I want to empower all of you because that's the only way these things get changed. Because in my 8 years on the commission, the thing I've learned most often is that I don't know everything. I really applaud everybody who brought their expertise here, everybody who brought their energy here. And I don't know if you're comfortable with me calling you out, Athena, but she's been here to a number of meetings, and her energy is always appreciated, and her continued attention continues to empower her time after time. And unfortunately, not just the commission is unpaid, but it would be very upsetting if our city manager didn't have to listen to our city council. And yet, sometimes it doesn't always work that way either. So your attention, we can be as transparent as we want, but unless we have public attention, the transparency doesn't matter. So please, please, please stay involved. Thank you.
All right. I realized that during opening comments, I forgot to take my part in the round robin. I'm Jensina Hawkins. I've been with the police commission for 2.5 years. My day job, I am a medical software trainer. I teach doctors and their staff how to use their electronic medical record system. Commissioner Lyman, thank you very much for calling out my putting Commissioner Bradley on the spot. Commissioner Bradley, my apologies to you for if that was uncomfortable. I saw an opportunity and I grabbed it without even thinking about protocol. Well, I felt called out. Do not invalidate my feelings right now, Commissioner Lyman. This evening, EPD has asked us for any further conversation after the meeting is adjourned to please take the conversation out to the parking lot since we are in a very small space here in this room. So for the commissioners who have volunteered to stay afterwards to speak with community members, please adjourn to the parking lot. This is definitely the largest police commission meeting I've ever seen for public comment. I'm very impressed. And I want to express my thanks to Eugene Police Department for providing a staffer that has helped us facilitate this meeting, for acting in capacity, Chief Burke, for stepping into some shoes. I'm sure he had no idea he was going to end up doing this evening. And you've been a really good sport. I appreciate that, Captain Burke. And to the media, thank you for coming and paying attention to this. Again, we do host public comment at every police commission meeting, and you are encouraged to participate and bring us your feedback. With that being said, our meeting is adjourned.